Perfect.
Gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go.
What's going on? What's going on to all my embracers? How y'all doing tonight? I know you're not seeing my normal backdrop, but I'm still unpacking from the move. So I figure I go virtual. So it is what it is. I'm Grace from Embrace the Grace. And thank you for anybody who's here, who's had to wait for the intro. But I do give a 5-minute delays for any late stragglers, because you know how it is. People got to get their snacks and their drinks and their blunts and their cigs ready and everything, because this is how we do it. So for any new embracers that are here, thank you for coming. Don't forget to press the like button. Definitely like, subscribe, and share. And definitely donate to the channel, guys, because as us podcasters out here, we really trying to do something and be productive. And it takes time, it takes energy, it takes a lot of work. So any donations would be highly appreciated. Again, you can find me on definitely YouTube. You can find me on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and Snapchat. And what we do around here on this channel is we have the necessary conversations of messy, awkward, and things that need to be talked about, things that are important, so we can learn and become better versions of ourselves. So I am going to bring up my co-host, Smitty. Anybody else who wants to get on the panel after he introduces himself, we're going to get right into it. It's a very, very important topic, and it means a lot to me, and it's dear to me. I have 3 clips that I want to show you. So we got a lot to talk about. So let's go ahead and get it. Let me get my guests up here. Can you hear me?
Nah, Grace, you real low.
Is
I'm
it
real
just
low.
me?
Okay,
I
go
don't
ahead.
know if
Go
anybody
ahead
in.
and let me
Say it
check.
again.
Go ahead and introduce yourself, and I'll check on my volume. Okay.
Okay, okay. Respect to everybody. Respect. It's your boy Smitty. Um, Definitely you can catch me here at Embrace the Grace every Thursday. You can also catch me on Smitty's Corner YouTube, and you can also catch me at the JVJ Network, which is right here every Friday as well. Grace, I digress my mic. It is muted. Rock out.
Sir, go ahead and introduce yourself. Intellectual Soapbox. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it, and let people know where we can find you.
Definitely. I
Mm.
can be perfectly fine as well.
Let's see
Are you
something.
there?
Both of
Let me
your channel.
see something.
You can find me on Knowledge and Relationships, or also as well the Intellectual Soapbox. Either one of those channels is fine. Knowledge and Relationships will be back in the fall, and Intellectual Soapbox we still are doing different things. Well, Knowledge and Relationship is doing different things too at this moment. But yeah, you can catch me on either one of those platforms. And thank you for having me up here, and I thank everybody for the support. Thank you.
Absolutely. Can you hear me any better, Smitty? Because I'm on a high volume everywhere, on the computer, on my microphone, everywhere. Am I really low?
Y'all both sound the same.
Okay, then we good to go. So guys, a lot of times when I come up with my topics, it's because it's something that I experienced or went through, or it just happened, or it is happening. It's just your everyday life, things that are going on. And this has been on the back burner for me, but it really came about this week. One, because something happened to me personally, and two, I had a friend approach me and ask me some questions. So I figured that I go ahead and drop this topic. And this topic is important. It's the importance of therapy. In our community, in the Hispanic, Black, and Brown community, is seen upon as taboo, that it's not necessary, that it's something that doesn't need to be done. But you know what? It is. A lot of us are lost in the damn sauce. And we need to do better. We need to recognize that we got a lot of trauma going on. We have a lot of drama going on. And it is not nobody's responsibility but your responsibility to unpack your shit. If I'm in a relationship with somebody, it's not their responsibility to fix me. I should already be fixed when I should even consider to be in a relationship. I mean, they can help you unfold it and put it away, but at the end of the day, it is your responsibility to get the help that you need. So you're not toxic to that person. You're not mean and just bitter, because you know what, it's not fair, especially for a person that's been through it, did the work, did the healing, and then you're going to bleed on somebody that didn't cut you. And that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the importance of therapy, the benefits of therapy, what happens when you go to therapy, and why it's so necessary. So Soapbox, let me ask you a question. What are your sentiments on therapy?
I think it's excellent. I'm actually I've done it more than once in my lifetime. I'm actually gonna do it a third time. And it's always helpful. It's always helpful. Because what happens is this, right? We have a lot of trauma that we go through in life, right? For those who have trauma. We have trauma. So what trauma does, it makes you do one or two things. It makes you get really angry, or it makes you shut down. You know what I'm saying? And you can have a big heart, you can really love and care about people, but when you're not dealing with that trauma, you're gonna run to those two things, either anger or you're gonna completely shut down. Now when those two things happen, you either can maybe start drinking, some people start using substances, some people start messing around, sleeping with different people, or getting out of relationships, or some people just go after money, right? They're super money driven to the point where they don't care about nobody else. You know what I'm saying? So like that's what trauma does. It makes you become an addict to something to cope with your pain. You know what I mean? So we're doing all this coping
Absolutely.
mechanism, and the problem is not getting solved. So let's say, for instance, if you and Smitty are in a relationship, right? Let's just say, for instance,
Mm-hmm.
you're in a relationship, right? Now, you know what I mean? I could tell Grace that you wear your heart in your sleeve. You always have, but because of the things you've been through, if somebody makes you upset, you're gonna go in. Like, you're not gonna hold back, right?
But
Now,
not anymore.
now you did.
Not anymore.
You said you worked.
After the
You said you
counseling.
worked on that, and I believe that you have, right? You say you worked, and I believe that you have. Now, now, with that, you have to have certain tools, right? You know what I mean? And you have certain
Yeah.
triggers. So the one thing you tell somebody, look, hey, I don't, I've worked on myself, but there's certain things I don't like. Like, don't yell at me, don't curse at me. You know what I mean? Let's say those are your triggers. I'm not saying they are, but those are your two.
Okay,
So,
those are I don't know how you knew, but those are my two triggers. I guess because we fam. I guess you.
it's
That's
in New York.
exactly what it is. Don't raise. Yeah, don't raise your voice at me and don't come at me the wrong. It's the approach. Don't come at
Yeah,
me rah 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 because I mean, like you said, I've done the work, but the buttons are still there.
yeah. So once you let those triggers be known, now it's up to the said person to respect that, right? And then vice versa, let you know their triggers or whatever, right? And then you work from there. But what happens is that people don't respect the triggers and they don't respect how people feel, and or they try to be like, oh, that's not that bad. No, if I have a trauma, I'm dealing with something. This is what I'm dealing with. Do not put it down. Do not you know what I mean? Do not try to digress it. But what therapy does is that they give you the tools to work through your trauma, to communicate it so that you can have healthy relationships, and that you're not automatically snapping on somebody, and like then once you snap, you're like, damn, maybe I shouldn't have said that shit. Like, or maybe I should have just took my moment, or maybe I should have just went, you know what I mean? Went out, took a walk or whatever, go do something I like, and then come back. You know what I mean? And then, sometimes we're able to do that in certain relationships, and sometimes we're not. You know what I mean? And then that's when we gotta, work on ourselves and
Yeah.
redirect. So yeah, that's my answer.
You're absolutely right. Smitty, before I get you in, welcome, Ricardo. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate you in the comments. He said, what if you don't have trauma at Soapbox? What if you don't have trauma? I mean, we can't assume that everybody in this world has trauma. So he's right. I feel if you don't have, no, I don't want to use the word I feel. I think, Ricardo, if you don't have trauma, then you make sure you get with somebody that is not traumatized or is not because you're not going to be able to deal or don't want to deal with their traumatizing ways. So if you don't have trauma in your life or you haven't been damaged, then don't get with somebody that's damaged. That's the best thing I can say. So Smitty, let me ask you, and Jordan, I got to come back without getting too personal. I'm going to come back to you and ask you another question. Smitty, what is your take on therapy and how do you feel about it?
What kind of therapy? Can you hear me clearly?
Just mental therapy, going to counseling.
I believe that any and everything is necessary for whom it is necessary for. If you are somebody who can actually benefit from therapy, then do it. There are people who go to rehab, from physical rehab to an addiction rehab. Now, how do we feel about that? I think most people would say, with a clear mind at least, well, whoever needs that addiction rehab, whoever needs that physical therapy rehab, go for it. If that is what you need at that point in your life to go ahead and make sure that you're good. So, I mean, as far as how I feel about it, I feel that is necessary for whom it's necessary for. That's really all I got on that part. What else you got for me?
But Smitty, how do you convince somebody when you know they need therapy, but they refuse to go and they're in denial?
Yeah. All right. You want Smitty's answer?
Of course.
Yeah.
That's why you're here, because
Okay.
I value and respect your input.
Okay. All right. Smitty's answer is fuck them. Okay. Now, Follow me. Follow me. All right. I'm just yeah, I mean, listen, a part of my
Love it.
therapy in itself while trying to assist you is maintaining my own peace. We all know there is a bunch of us out here. We will go ahead and take time out of ourselves to go ahead and say and be like, you know what? I will assist. I will try to help someone. But if somebody's not listening, like, especially if this is a grown ass adult, honestly, fuck them. And I don't mean like I hope something bad happens to you. I mean, fuck them in the sense of you gonna have to learn. See, we all get to a point. I promise you, I got to where I am. Jay, salute. What's up, him? I got to the point where I am now because life kicked me in the ass so many times to the point where I said enough is enough. There were plenty of times I heard you should stop this, you should do that, you should go this way, you should go that way. You know what I chose to do? I chose to do whatever it is that I chose to do. And I had to go through enough losses, enough strifes, enough broken relationships and everything else, right? For me to realize I need to do whatever it is I need to do to fix me. So when I say fuck them, I mean that in the sense of if you're not going to listen, I'm not about to disturb my peace because you choose to stay in a disgruntled place. When you get to the point where you want to go ahead and say, you know what, I've had enough, I'm really ready, you'd be surprised who might be there for you. You also might be surprised how many are not there for you because of all the time you wasted and resources. But I digress. My mic is muted. Rock out.
Thank you, Smitty. All right, everybody. I'd like to introduce Jay from the JVJ Network. Thank you for coming. How are you doing tonight, sir? I can't hear you.
You had me on mute. I'm doing all right. Just got back from your neck of the woods. You hear me now?
Which one? Georgia? Yeah.
Yeah.
Georgia?
Yeah.
Oh, really? So you was in my neck of the woods and you ain't even holler? Wow.
I'll be back up there
That's
tomorrow.
what we doing around here now. That's all good.
I'll be back up there tomorrow.
Oh, okay. But anyway, guys, I do want to introduce. This is Let's Talk with Jay. He is the founder of the JVJ Network. Thank you for coming, sir. You saw the topic, the thumbnail. Ricardo does have a comment. He said, "What if your trigger is told that you need therapy from someone who's not a counselor or a coach?" What I have to say about that, Ricardo, is if you're in a relationship with a significant other and that person is traumatized and obviously damaged, you don't have to be licensed or a counselor to tell that that person needs counseling. And if you value what that other person says, then maybe you might need counseling, because counseling is going to only help. It's not going to do damage. So Jay, I'm going to ask you the same question. What is your take on therapy? Because it is very taboo in our community, the Hispanic, the brown, and the black community. Everybody wants to put shit underneath the rug. Nobody wants to talk about the big ass pink elephant in the room. We want to make pretend that nothing's wrong. Oh, everything stays within the family. And we got a lot of generational curses out there in our families because nobody wants to get help or reach out for help. What do you have to say, Jay?
I fluctuated a lot on the topic of therapy. I don't believe a lot of people actually need therapy. I think people just need a reality check and adjust their life to what the world actually is and not how they want it to be. But if you do want to go to therapy, I ain't trying to be mean. You don't need to be going to a female therapist. You need to be going to a male therapist, whether you're a man or you're a woman, just for the simple fact, it's not as hard for a man to tell you what it actually is. You're running to that problem more often when you're dealing with a lady, because a lot of ladies care more about feelings than they do about actually, getting that hard-earned truth out, unless they just don't like you. They'll tell you the truth if they don't like you. But I've never been a big fan. I believe that God made me in his image, and he endowed me with all the powers and the abilities of the creator. God wasn't asking nobody for help. So why am I? Like, I had a decent upbringing. I had a mom and a dad that taught me right. And I understand that some people don't have that, but I believe we all have a moral compass inside our head to know what's right and what's wrong. And I don't believe anything that you get in life is too hard for you. I believe there's always a way to overcome it. I think a lot of people just get down on themselves and start feeling sorry for themselves. And they get themselves into a place where they need to go talk to somebody. Now, I hope I ain't offend nobody by saying that, but I think we just got a lot of weak ass people in this world.
I got pushed back. Excuse me. Sorry. Yeah, Jay, I'm sorry, sir. But everything that you're saying right there is definitely something that's going to keep people living in their own devices. That's like you telling a person, look, you know what I'm saying? If you a diabetic, man, that's some weak ass shit to go ahead and start going to the doctor for your insulin and having your sugar checked. Like the fact is, whatever it is in your life that you need to be done, right? If you need assistance in whatever it may be in life, then I think that's a lot better than having people out here on the streets acting all crazy. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, Jay. Therapists are like the police. The more you comply, Jay, the more you actually see it's better for you.
When was the first time that anybody ever heard the term mental health illness?
Back in the day, sir, when soldiers came from war, because my grandfather, who was in the Korean War, it was
They call
called shell
they
shock.
call it they call it shell shock. I'm saying the
Right.
word, the actual term,
No, 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 no,
mental
no. What you have
illness.
to understand is it went from shell shock, then it went to another name, then after that it went to PTSD, post traumatic stress. So hold on. So the fact is that we've had this same symptom, the same diagnosis, just named different throughout different periods in time. So the fact is, are you trying to tell me that soldiers who come home from war, they should just suck it up and be like, man, get your shit together, you bitch ass nigga?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. I can agree to disagree. All right. I'm gonna leave that alone, Jay, because
Jay, is that realistic?
you know how we can get to going. So yeah, nah, you tripping. You tripping.
What you say,
But
Grace?
Jay, is that realistic? A lot of people don't know. Is that a realistic view of what you're saying? Because a lot of people don't know how to cope with stress. You're military trained, Jay, so you see things in a very black and white thing version. But there's people that have had hard lives. There's people that grew up in a very hostile environment. They don't know how to cope, and going to therapy will teach you methods and ways to cope with your stress. Instead of running to a bottle, it'll go do something else. I mean, you really think you'd be like, fuck it, do it? You can suck it up and get over it? Cry me a river, build a bridge, and get over it? You really believe that?
Can I say this one thing very, very, very briefly, Jay? Let me just say this. I swear I'm gonna be so quick and then rock out because I'm gonna mute down. I'm gonna cam down. What I notice is what people is doing is this, and this is very much so not healthy. The very people that talk about, oh, I don't need a therapist, this and that. You know what people's therapy is? Taking all of their business, turning on their phone, and showing Instagram, showing Facebook, showing the world. So now, honestly, when we see all these people recording stuff, because I be saying that to myself, why are they recording? But you know what I be saying to myself? They real deal. They want somebody to talk to. See, therapy is not about necessarily somebody redirecting your life. Now, I will say I do agree with you with the male therapist aspect as far as like putting aside the emotions. But my point is that people who actually pull their phones out and start recording everything in front of the world, These are the very people who really just want somebody to talk to. Remember how therapy used to be set up? You go in there, you lay on the couch, you put your feet up, you get nice and comfortable, and what do they say? Tell me where it all began. And for a lot of
Mhm.
people, that is something very, very healthy, bro. And I won't take away from that because I would much rather you take your business over to a therapist and over to a therapist in a quiet room, okay, where we got HIPAA law and everything is confidential, than for you to take your ignorant ass, pull your phone out, and do some dumb shit online. I would prefer that. That's just me. Rock out. I digress. My mic is muted.
What was your
Go
question,
ahead,
Grace?
Jay. My question is do you really think it's just that cut and dry? Because a lot of us did go through trauma growing up, didn't have a good upbringing, don't know how to deal with coping trauma and stress. And then they take it out on other people and they're toxic to other people. Do you really think is that cut and dry?
To be honest with you, like I know it might sound crazy, but yeah, it's really that cut and dry. People are weak. People are really weak. And I'll give you an example of why I say people are weak nowadays.
Okay.
Coming from melanated people in this world, we've had some of the greatest atrocities done to us. We had our own people put into situations where it was literally an uphill battle. It's like pick yourself up by your bootstraps and you ain't got no boots. Did all those people just say, "Oh, I'm mentally challenged and I'm not doing anything. I'm mentally harmed. I'm not doing anything"? No, they sucked it up. And this was before a time when we actually had avenues for people to go to. The generations that have come before us have made us weaker. We got a lot of weak ass people walking around right now because they feel like one thing, they need attention. I heard that they say going to a therapist, you just need somebody to talk to. Who the hell can't find somebody to talk to? You can get on the internet and talk to somebody. A
And that's
lot of
the
people.
dumbest shit. Sorry. Go ahead, Jay.
No, go ahead, Smith.
Look, bruh, that's the dumbest shit. I'm sorry, bruh. I do not get with people who listen because these very people, you know what happens when you take your information to the internet? You have way more trolls than you do people who really consult and like they actually get where you're coming from and feel you, right? So when then how many times we'll see people take something they're already hurting. They'll like let's take the dude that did the whole he got stood up with the glasses, brown skin dude. We all know the video. I brought flowers. You know what he was doing in that moment to him? Because he needed somebody to talk to. That was supposed to be a therapeutic moment. Guess what that bitch flipped around and turned into? That nigga being trolled. Now he got so now watching everybody do their segment about what he did that day. Lord knows how much more mental anguish he's now going through. See, the thing is that now I'm not talking about whether you got the best therapist in the world or not. Now that's a whole nother discussion. But for somebody, I'm just saying that because I've actually gone to therapy, bro. I've had to go to therapy because of my accident, because of being on locked up for 7 years, bro. I had to go talk to somebody about what I went through being behind them walls out away from the world for a while. And it ain't shit wrong with that, bro. I'm sorry. It ain't a motherfucking thing wrong with that. I
I
stand
don't.
on that shit.
Yeah, I don't think I said that it's wrong that people go to therapy. I
You
said that
said it's
majority.
weak. You said we
I
should
said
just what all
no. I
right,
said
rock out,
that.
Jay. My bad. I calmed
I
down.
said, I said that majority of people right now in today's society are weak. That had nothing to do with therapy or not. We live in a society where we have a bunch of weak-minded people that cannot handle what goes on in their life. And it's funny to me because we have gone through worse. We come from people that have gone through worse. The pandemic, think about this, the pandemic where they were sending people checks in the mail and telling you to stay at home, paying you to stay at home. People were losing their minds. But we went through slavery. People went through the Holocaust. They didn't sit out and cry. People are weak. I'm not telling you if you feel like you need to go to therapy. I've been to therapy. Coming back from deployment, I had a therapist for a hot minute. All it really was a sit down and talk. People just go in there and vent. But when it comes down to you actually doing what you need to do to get your life right and make the right decisions to move on and overcome the obstacles in your way, therapy not gonna save you.
No. I get where you're coming from.
I'm not criticizing.
Would you explaining it like that?
I'm just saying that people are mentally weak. I don't believe in mental illness. I believe some people are crazy, and I believe some people are sane. I don't believe there's mental illness. I believe people don't have the ability, or they lack the fortitude to overcome their trials.
Wait a minute, Jay. So you telling me a person who was declared, let's say, criminally insane, which is AKA, crazy, right? Crazy. So you're telling me that crazy doesn't fall under a category of mental health? It's just like depression, just like anxiety. I'm just asking you your view.
I'll explain it. It's the same way that we have cis women, trans women. Some people are poly, and all these different terms that people want to put themselves in.
We don't go with that bullshit, cis men and women.
Let me explain it. We have a group of people now in society that want to keep coming up with different terms to make their struggle seem different. I'm not like them. I'm like this. I'm like this. I'm like this. When all it comes down to is you got some crazy folks and you got some folks that want to suck it up and be a baby and don't want to get over their shit. There are people that we see on a day-to-day basis that really have mental problems. But then we have people that get on the internet all the time talking about, I got all this trauma and all this. No, you're just weak. You want to come to the internet and cry about your problems instead of trying to fix them yourself. Like when I was homeless a few years ago, I didn't come on the internet and cry and talk about the white man keeping me down or all this shit happening. No, I sucked it the fuck up and got myself in a good position. But somebody that lives in a society like we do right now will claim mental illness, and then you'll have all these other people come in simping for them. No, you don't have no mental illness. You just a weak, soft motherfucker that need to get your shit together.
I'm not going to let Jay, you know, especially with my accident and all that, what I've been through, bro, I'm 1000% with you. Considering what I went through last year and what I hear people crying bitch about, bro, I be like, if you don't shut the fuck up, I totally am with you on that. The way you came off, your initial energy on that whole situation was fuck therapy and anybody who wants or needs it. So now that you explained yourself, I'm definitely with you on that, bro. So rock out. I'm with you.
I didn't say that. I can't control how you take, but I didn't say that into Miss what's her name? Grace.
All right, Grace. Did you not get the same energy? Grace, did you not get the same feel that basically Jay was saying?
I did.
I'm saying, am I alone on what the fuck I'm saying?
The beginning. No. I got it where he was saying, cry a river, build a bridge, and get over it. But now that he elaborated a little bit more, and he's right, these younger generations, like a 19-year-old right now is not built like the 19-year-old 20 years ago. I spoke to a recruiter, and he told me that half these recruits going in shouldn't even be going in. They're not soldiers. The kids are not built the same way. They can't even read a map. They don't even know what north, east, west, or south. So I get what Jay says about that. We have life has been so easy for them that it has made them weak. I get that. But what I'm trying to relay here is there are a lot of toxic people out here. There are a lot of people out here, hurt people. And especially when you're a hurt person that has done the work, has gone to therapy, has grown, like I can recognize the red flags now much sooner than I did before, because I was taught and I do exercises and I know how to calm myself down better than I did 10, 15 years ago. So with that being said, let me go ahead and introduce Gary. He made it in. Thank you, Gary, for coming. I appreciate it. Introduce yourself and let everybody know find you so I can finally ask Soapbox a question I've been dying to ask him, and then I'll read the comments. Let's go, Gary.
Hey Grace, what's up, everyone? This is Gary D, um, co-host here. You could find me on Boardwalk Global Media. We have a couple of podcasts that we do every week. Our main podcast is The Real Discussion, which comes on 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. on Friday nights. We're on hiatus now because we're in a new studio. We just moved to a new studio. Our first show back is going to be September 8th. You could find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, either The Real Discussion or Boardwalk Global Media.
Thank you. And Gary, real quick, what is your take on therapy?
What is my take on therapy? There's some people that need it. There's some people that feel that they don't need it. There's other people who feel that they don't need it, but they need to get it. I think therapy can be healthy if you have the right therapist. In my experiences and the experiences that I know of, it's important to find the right therapist. No different than it's important to find the right doctor. Because clearly, as we all know, all doctors aren't the same. So all therapists isn't the same. So you need to find the right therapist that's going to be the right fit for you, and that's really going to help you. And in helping you, meaning that they're going to get to the root of whatever the issue is and help you solve it.
Absolutely. So now, Soapbox, I've been trying to ask you this question. You said that you've been to therapy twice and you're thinking about going again. What was it that made you realize that you need to go to therapy? And now you're realizing again that you're going to go again. What was it? Because somebody told you? I mean, give me the background, because this is a teaching moment for somebody who's maybe thinking of going, but then they decide not to. What made you decide, like, yeah, I need to get my ass to a therapist? Soapbox.
Well, I would say the first time I went is due to childhood trauma, things I went through, as a child. And it's a proven fact that childhood trauma will affect you. There's been studies scientifically that's been proven. If you put one baby and you give that baby affection, you show that baby affection and you show them care and love, that they're going to react different to a baby that actually is not getting care and love. In fact, I think one of the babies actually, was deleted based on the fact that they weren't getting enough love and care throughout the studies. So that's a scientific thing. Like, so if you experience trauma through a child, it will affect you through different stages in your adolescence and adulthood, and you will have to receive help, or you will have to receive therapeutic, something therapeutic in order to help you deal with that trauma. I'm sorry. The second time I went is just due to me just trying to basically have healthy relationships, intimately, and to just basically not allow that trauma to affect those relationships. And our third time I'm going is due to the fact that the last 3 years I've gone through a life and death health crisis, and due to that, it's really traumatized me. I had a very, very lucrative career, and I was doing very well for myself, and then it was all snatched away, and that was super traumatizing for me because I had worked. I literally worked my ass off to get to that point. You know what I'm saying? So once that happened, it really affected me, and a lot of my traumas were still, with trauma, it lingers. You learn how to work through it, but it doesn't never go away.
Well,
So when you have different things that happen to you, it can kind of trigger you. So that's why I'm going this third time, just to kind of help me to get refocused and retooled so I can get back out there and do what I need to do. So yeah.
absolutely. And I really, really commend you. I didn't want to get too deep into it because we're on the internet. It's not everybody's business to know your business, but I really appreciate you answering that question because we could have people watching right now who really don't know what to do or don't know if they. Okay, so since now we're going into that, let's get into it. What is the importance of therapy? According to the American Psychiatric Association, it has been shown to improve emotional and psychological well-being and is linked with positive changes in the brain and body. It helps people to understand that they can do something to improve their life situations and or circumstances. So with that being said, therapy treatment is intended to relieve or heal the treatment of mental conditions by verbal communication and interaction. Therapy helps you how to deal with the difficulty of life and relationships. Simply put as that. I mean, it can be a bad thing. It has to at least be able to improve and do something better. So I have Polo Blue on the panel as well. Thank you for coming. I love it. I have a full panel. I want to hear all different types. I wish I had a little bit more women, but that's okay because I'm not even going to lie to you guys. I like what Jay said about getting a male therapist because I've had both a female and a male therapist. And yeah, the male therapist was more logical, whereas the female therapist always kept tapping into my emotions. I don't want to hear that shit. I know what I'm feeling. You don't have to tell me that. You didn't go to school to reiterate what I'm feeling. But the man therapist, he was right away giving me solutions. Well, when this happens, do this. When that happens, do that. When you feel this way, try to do that. Whereas the woman was just trying, well, why do you feel like that? Well, how do you feel like? I mean, she was all right. She took the layers off the onion, and I found out things about my ex in 20 minutes that I didn't know in 2 years. But I would have to agree with Jay that I would prefer a male therapist versus a female therapist because I'm already going in there emotional and all over the place, and I don't need another woman being condescending and telling me what I feel. I need you to give me solutions and think logically to me. So with that being said, Polo Blue, how are you tonight?
Good evening, good evening. Good evening, gentlemen.
Are you there?
Yes. Can you hear me?
How are you?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm good. I'm good.
I can hear you. So what say you?
So this is my take, and it's probably a different take than what everybody else is saying. So my mother is a nurse at a post-traumatic stress syndrome clinic at Blanchard Army Hospital, Fort Campbell, Kentucky. So her job every day is to talk to soldiers who coming back from various parts of the world in war because she's on an army base. And she says this directly: you cannot advise anyone walking, a human, that they need therapy unless you're a licensed therapist. So if you don't have the degrees and or training to tell somebody that they need therapy, you should not advise anyone living that's a human being that they need therapy. That might cause them additional trauma because you're not advised to say so. Now, she talks to these soldiers every day. She has multiple degrees past her bachelor's. And she still says, I am not qualified because I am not a psychologist or psychiatrist to advise them. I can take notes. I can advise them to go to a psychologist or psychiatrist, and then they will say, yes, you need to see me after they've gone through checklists and other parts to verify that this person needs additional help. Because when you say someone needs therapy in general, you're saying not only are they weak, like Jay said, but they need medication and they need to see somebody 2 to 3 times a week. And they can be schizophrenic, multiple personality disorder, and or worse. It is just not saying, hey, I have a childhood trauma, I need to talk to somebody. That's not what they're saying. You must take the extreme of the same sentence of what you're saying. So I am totally against random people who are not psychologists and or psychologists saying that someone needs therapy.
Here.
Well, I mean, I hear you, Polo, but if you're living with somebody who's toxic and they're doing toxic things, and of course, I'm not a licensed therapist. A therapist can
If
help
you're
them
not a
with their
licensed
ways and
therapist,
their upbringing. You don't, I mean,
if you're not a
I'm not
licensed
a
therapist,
well, hold on, let me finish. I'm not a professional basketball player, but I coached basketball. You know, I'm not a professional cook and went to culinary school, but I can cook up a meal. So to let somebody that a loved one or friend, hey, I think you should go see somebody and talk to somebody about this because this is way above my friendship level. I don't see where there's anything wrong with that. I mean, how can it hurt them versus not do good for them? And I have to put this comment up here because go ahead.
I have a different question. After I gave you the example, you still said it. I didn't. This is you. You're comparing the ability to do a child's game, basketball coach, or prepare food to nourish your body to a culinary chef. It's still not going to be the same. So I'm saying the distance between you advising somebody and a psychologist is very different than you being a coach. Even if you're on a professional level, there's still differences between the head coach, Phil Jackson, to a high school coach or a middle school coach. There's a large difference because that one person makes $50,000 a year and Phil Jackson makes $10 million a year. There is a large difference in its skill and its training and its work that you put in.
Okay, I mean, we can agree to disagree, but telling a friend or a loved one that they should go see a therapist, I don't see where there's anything wrong with that because you know.
Yes, ma'am. I'm trying to tell you, you're not disagreeing with me. I'm not saying this. I'm saying the doctor who's went to school for 12 to 15 years is saying that me, you, everybody on this panel is not qualified to say somebody needs therapy. I'm not saying it. If you go do the work and you go talk to more than one psychologist, more than one anybody who has a master's or better degree, and they say that, okay.
Psychotherapy. Yeah.
If they say that with those degrees, they say yes. Go ahead and tell everybody. Then I'll digress. I'll apologize and I'll go talk to my mother, who talks to doctors on a daily basis. But they're saying you shouldn't say that, not me. I'm giving you the information because I had this conversation already, and this is what she went back to. She went to work the next day. She asked them again, and she came back to me. She said, "Well, you can tell your people that they shouldn't be saying that shit."
Can I say this, Blue?
Okay.
Briefly. So when I first went to a therapist, because just so y'all can understand, I really didn't like, of course I knew how to talk, blah, 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 read, write. I didn't really start conversing as much as I talk and long-winded now. I shit you not. My parents actually started taking me to therapy because I didn't start talking till I was like almost 13, 14. Like really just talking to people. I was always real mute when I was real young. So my point is that they were trying to figure out what was going on with that. So Blue, my parents, I have my mom and my dad, and they were full-time parents throughout my entire upbringing. They got to the point where they said, this seems like something outside of our hands. Even us as men, there are a lot of things that most of us can do around the house. We can do touch up paint, we can maybe change the little ball on the back of the toilet, things of that nature. But when it comes to like maybe real electrical work and like maybe tree removal, we probably have to call somebody, right? So there's nothing wrong with that. So I'm just saying that in the sense of both of my parents were around, they were fully active, and even still, they sought out outside counsel for my upbringing. I mean, were they wrong for that? Like, did they give up? Were they being weak because they went on ahead and paid for a therapist to talk to me?
Well, mind you, my point is not you being somebody being weak. That was Jay's point. I'm saying that the average person. The average person should not advise. And I'm not, mind you, none of my points say that you should not go to therapy. None of my points say that I don't respect therapy, because how I'm going to not respect it, and this is what my mom does. So I'm not saying no to that. I'm saying what your parents did is probably the right thing. They didn't know. They said, hey, I need some help. And you as a child can't make that decision. So the people who love and care for you said, hey, this ain't working for me. I need to go get some additional help. That's totally different. That's totally different than, so I'm gonna say, random person. They see me about the world. We're both adults and we interact and they say, you need some help. You go see somebody. That's totally different than you. Let's just say your child. You say your child has this and that. Nobody loves your child more than you, because that's your flesh and blood. As your flesh and blood, you're responsible for them, and then you're going to do the best you can for them. So if you say, hey, I can't handle it myself, let me go tap somebody else in that's a little bit more versed at this, more educated. They can help my child. There's nothing wrong with that. That's different than me saying, just respect, Smitty, you need to go see some counseling because of the way you act. And Blue shouldn't say that to you.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Nah, I'm with you. I was just listening, Blue. Go ahead, Grace.
I'm taking it a little bit deeper. If you're in a relationship with somebody and that person is drowning their sorrows in alcohol every day and doing stupid shit, and you could tell that something is wrong with them, so you're not going to say anything. You're just going to sit there and be like, and deal with it. Or you're not going to say, babe, I think you should go see somebody. You need some help. You're drinking, you're smoking, you're using other outlets versus trying to get help. I'm not going to allow somebody, if I can help them by just saying, I think you need to go see somebody. I'm not just going to be a random person off the street, Blue. It's got to be somebody that means something to you, not because you just had a random conversation with a random person. I'm talking about a significant other. I'm talking about a child or a sibling that went through trauma, and nobody in the family can help them. Only a professional can help them. You can't tell them, hey, I think it's time for you to go seek some therapy. You don't have to be a licensed person to see that person needs help. They're drinking, they're ruining their lives. So what, you just abandon them and leave them, or do you try to get them help? That's what I'm trying to relay here. You don't leave your partner just because what if he beats your ass and he's got anger management? You're gonna take it, or you're gonna be like, babe, I think you need to go to counseling. That's the angle I'm coming from. So, but with that being said, let's talk about why therapy is so powerful. Therapy is powerful because you can develop skills and strategies to improve your mental well-being, having a better understanding of your mental health, developing wellness goals. It helps you have fewer sick days, increased work satisfaction, less disabilities, less pain, less stress, fewer medical problems, increased happiness. You sleep better. You learn to be a better, effective communicator. And of course, you become and have better sex because you're in a better place. You're in a better mental state. It also helps to identify maladaptive coping strategies and replacing them with positive ones. Every single person would benefit from experiencing therapy at some point in their lives. Many people struggle with high functioning anxiety and depression and never seek help because their symptoms are not debilitating enough. So with that being said, even if I'm not and then I guess I should make this disclaimer. No, I am not a licensed therapist. I'm not a licensed psychiatrist, but I am an expert in life. I have seen things. I have been through things. I've personally been through counseling and therapy. I haven't seen a psychiatrist, but I've been through a therapist. I've had a life coach. I've had it all that. I've had mentors, and they have done nothing but help me versus not helping me. So I would respectfully disagree with Blue, but if I see that somebody is struggling with something that's out of the realm of my expertise, expertise, yeah, I'm going to be like, hey, man, I think you should go talk to somebody and see somebody. I mean, am I wrong? Talk to me, fellas.
I think what he's getting at, Grace, I don't think he's saying that people shouldn't refer people to therapy in a sense, but I get what he's saying. Like when you tell somebody, let's say you're having a conversation with somebody, you can clearly see that they're not in the right mind. Hey, man, you need to go get some therapy. Some people might not be able to mentally handle that. I think what a lot of us are referring to is that people need to go to counseling. They need somebody to speak to. Like a therapist is supposed to have a certain type of knowledge when it comes to how the human brain works and how to counteract certain steps when they talk to people. A lot of the stuff that we deal with, we try to give people advice, try to guide people to where they should go, but we're not the experts at it. Like I can tell you, hey, look, dude, you probably should file your taxes every year, or you're gonna be like Wesley Snipes, you're gonna get locked up in prison. That's some advice, but I'm not a tax advisor. I am not qualified for this. But here you go. I'm gonna dip out of here. I just want to say this last thing. I saw what Miss, what's her name? You was about to read her comment, Miss Op Hella. What how you say her name, Grace?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Apahelia, are you gonna go on that one comment? Let me see if we're thinking about the same comment. Is it this one? Hold on.
Nah, it was the
Did
one.
that one
It was
trigger you?
one. Nah. It was the one she said earlier during the pandemic about like DV and all that stuff going up.
Oh, domestic.
Like this.
Mm-hmm.
Like to that comment right there. DV. I don't like when I hear women bringing that up because we already know from the study, since we're talking about actual studies that have been done, women initiate majority of those situations. And when you talk about youth and children, women dominate that. So I
Say
don't
that
know
shit
what
again. Say that shit again.
I don't know if that was referring to something else, but those are two problems that women need to deal with. And there were a bunch of men on this panel when that comment was brought in here. So I was like, I don't know what that was for. I'll tell anybody if they feel like they need help and they can't handle what's going on, go talk to a counselor first. Go talk to your pastor if you go to church. Go talk to your mother, your father. Go talk to some friends that actually care about you. But when it comes to the therapist, that's why I actually agree with Polo a little bit. We are not qualified to diagnose people, but it is good to refer somebody. Like depending on the conversation, like, hey man, you ever thought about getting therapy? Some stuff like that. But I get where he was coming from. His mom can say whatever she wants, but really, like he said about the whole thing, a professional has to tell you that. So his mom not even being a professional in it, we would need the people that she talks to actually tell us that. But look, keep rocking out. People want to get therapy. Do it up,
Hey
man.
Jay,
Look, man.
can I say one thing for you go? I'm gonna let you go. What you were saying to her comment. I don't know how we could not believe that if we know by factual statistics that if a particular person is known to get away with doing something more times than not, if an argument, listen, you could do it for an experiment. Go in the mall with just a random, your boyfriend, a friend, whoever, and y'all two just make up and start yelling at each other. See who the crowd gravitates to protect more. Not knowing the situation, not knowing a damn thing that's going on with anything that's taking place. So all I'm gonna say is, and I'm gonna let you go, Jay, is that I find it fascinating how folks can really look at things like if you know 9 times out of 10, even if you hit me first, and you have a mark, say I don't, but you hit me first, and they show up, they're gonna take me to jail. We've seen where the man owns the home, and they tell him to go find a room. She don't even have her name on that bitch. So I'm
Yeah,
just saying,
That's not
I
true,
don't get
Smitty,
how
because
people can't even see that
that's
shit.
not true.
I think
Copy
he's
that.
speaking in the majority. I think he's speaking in the majority, not
I
the
was the
minority.
one that they took me in and not him because he had marks
Don't
on
speak
him and I
anecdotal.
didn't.
Don't
And
speak
I went
anecdotal.
in.
We're not talking about you. And you know us as men, love. Listen, Grace, you know we can't stand that. When a woman jumps in and says, you know what? Well, I haven't, me and my girlfriends. Nah, stop that. We talking about overall majority of times. Grace, let me and you start arguing in public. I promise you. They're going to look at me like, what are you doing to her? Before they be like, this bitch is crazy. I promise. And we
You're
all
right.
know this.
You're right. You're right. You're right. You're especially a black man. Yeah. Yeah. You're right. You're absolutely
Hey,
right.
Grace,
There are some rules.
Grace,
There are some exceptions.
hey, Grace, one last thing to your girl that wrote that again. She said, BS, the numbers of deleted women speak differently. The only reason that, first off, men get deleted more than women, hands down, is not even close. But to that point that you're trying to make, when a woman decides to strike a man, she doesn't have the ability to cause the exact amount of damage that a man can cause. So if you saying that, well, at least the man got the job done. Because a lot of ladies done tried to get it done with dudes. I'm not trying to be mean or nothing like that, but I don't like hearing women talk about dudes putting hands on them. The numbers don't back it up. And if you want to talk about deletions, we the kings of that. And it's nothing to brag about. Men get deleted more than women every day. So I don't know the point. Matter of fact, she's up here. Matter of fact, can she say what she got to say real quick, Grace, before I go?
Man, what? Hold on. Hey, Grace. Hey, Grace. You do y'all remember back in the day when a wife, like just for example, let's just take it to a comedic sense. Do y'all remember back in the day when a wife will go ahead and smack a husband? What was in her hand? The old school joke that a wife would hold in her hand while smacking that husband? A frying pan.
What was in her? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. The skillet.
Follow me. Yes, that was the old school. They even made Flintstones, whatever. That was the old school joke. The wife smacking the dad up against the head with a frying. Do you not know how much weight a cast iron pan holds? Okay. So my point is, I don't want to
Yes,
hear
sir.
nothing about women not being able to hurt that man because we all know women will instantly, through survival instinct, resort to an equalizer. They will pick up a knife, a frying pan. They will, bruh, stop playing with me. Women will equalize the situation. And you know how they generally equalize the situation? Catching that man off guard, catching his
Yeah.
ass off guard. That's right. They don't go head to head. They make him a sandwich. They get him nice and comfortable. They catch him off guard. Put cyanide in his goddamn oatmeal. So don't talk to me about women can't be dangerous. I don't want to hear that shit. You're the most dangerous because we are more likely to drop our guard around you than you are to drop your guard around us on the first date even. It's easier for you to get a man to drop his guard. All you gotta do is just act feminine enough. Most men, they gonna drop their guard. Lord knows what you can be texting and having him set up to be done. It ain't that easy with us. It's not, and you're not gonna tell me it is, because if it is, then you wouldn't be saying everything that you're saying about men. That means your guard is up. So I don't want to hear that shit. Rock out.
All
Hey,
right,
Grace,
Leanne. Thank you for coming. I haven't seen you in a minute. Welcome. Yes.
Hello.
What did you
I
have to
just
say,
can't.
hon? I mean, I know you got some.
I
Then
mean, I
jump.
don't know. There's just like, statistics of, women are more likely to die at the hands of a significant other than any other way. It's just anecdotal. It's not, we can't have any real life experience. We only have to talk about generalizations with no proof, fact, or statistic to back it up. I mean, what are we talking here for real? Like,
well, Leanne, in the comment section, you said domestic abuse. You didn't
yes.
say deletions. Domestic abuse, we have the data on that, and it shows that women committed more than men.
Did I say it was all
Yeah,
men or
you
women? I said
know, but
domestic abuse was up during COVID. Did I say it was men against women or women against men? I did not. I
Well,
said
clearly
instances
that's
of
what you were getting
reporting of domestic abuse went up.
at.
We're talking about mental health. I referred to a specific situation where people's mental health were compromised.
It's not compromised, but you kind of alluded back
They
to it
were.
when you said you kind of
No, I
alluded
was
back to it with
responding
your
to
following
Smitty.
comment.
No, I was
No, I'm saying you kind
responding to
of
Smitty.
okay, but I was just saying with the comments that you had following up, you kind of alluded to what point you were trying to get at, and that's why I
No,
said
I
what I
didn't
said.
allude to anything. I said what I said. I meant what I
There
said
you go.
specifically.
You said that.
Yeah, there are numbers of dead women. Women are more likely to be killed by their spouses and significant other than any other way. That is a real
There's only
fact.
two sexes. There's only two sexes. Who has the capability to do it better and easier and more efficient? Clearly, it's men.
Oh, okay.
That
So it should just
that's
happen,
besides the point.
or what's the point?
It's besides the point when you were saying that domestic violence went up during COVID. Well,
Yes,
that's because
reports
of
of
women.
domestic violence went up.
It did go
That's
up.
because of women. That's because of women. But then you followed it up
No,
by
you're
saying,
generalizing. You're not saying it's because I didn't say it was because of it. I said it went up. I stated a fact. The fact is it went up. And it went up because people were in compromised mental situations and they were closed in together and not dealing with their issues, which went to the fact that we were talking about mental health and that there are times where those past traumas or whatever the situations are, they're in relationships or they're not dealing with the issues at hand and they're locked in a room with somebody and those things went up. It's not the same thing with children. That was why I coupled that comment with the fact that so did child abuse reports went up
yeah,
in that same
who's
time
more
frame because people were not handling each other and being locked in the presence of the people that they were supposed to be closest and most trusting of or to. And so in
who
terms of talking about mental health, it was a viable statement.
who is more capable of controlling their emotions, men or women?
According to you, it's men.
I'm saying I'm asking you. I'm asking you
I think it depends on the individual personally.
in general.
Individual personally.
In general.
In general, I don't subscribe to your belief system that women are irrational and can't control their emotions. I'm not one of those women who are irrational and can't control their emotions. So
Okay,
I'm going to speak to
because
So
my
you're
own
women are not
self-anecdotal.
emotional. Women are not
real quick.
emotional.
Hold up. Smitty, hold up real quick. Just because you're not, we're talking about take it away from yourself and put it on the world from what you've seen. I'm pretty sure you've been on this earth for a decent amount of years. Who have you seen be more capable of controlling their emotions, men or women?
I've seen both. I'm not going to tell you one thing or the other. I'm not going to fall into the answer that you want me to get to.
AJ, you're not gonna win
No,
this.
no,
AJ,
hey,
she,
Grace. Hey,
you know what it is.
Smitty,
it's
let him
good. It's
talk.
good.
The
It's good.
fuck?
It's good. No, it's fine. It's fine. I just wanted to see if you were actually going to be able to acknowledge reality around you, and that shows
It's
that
no, that's your reality skewed by your
it's not. It's
perspective,
not
which is
reality.
men don't find women's emotions convenient. So then they're problematic. But men's emotions get out of control and end up with people hurt. Those are emotions, those behaviors that men possess where they lose control of their cognizance and they act out in violent ways are emotions.
Now, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Hold on,
I
Smitty,
agree.
hold
No,
on.
can I? Shit, I want to say
I'm
something.
gonna let you. I'm gonna let you have her. I'm about to leave.
Please
I'm about to
do.
leave.
Let me know.
Here you
Let
go.
me.
Here you go. Look. Yes, when men lose control of their emotions, we see it all the time when it comes down to the crime statistics, when it comes down to deletion rates, when it comes down to what we see on the news. We see it because we hold them accountable for it. What we don't see is every woman that does that on a day-to-day basis that is never checked for it. You see women out here losing control of their emotions on a day-to-day basis, and everybody applauds it or doesn't say a thing about it. That's why I wanted to see if you were going to tell the truth, because you know women are emotionally unstable and they do not control their emotions. But you want to sit here and say individual. That's how I knew I already won that conversation right there.
You didn't
Every
win
time
anything. I mean, if that's what you want to believe, that's what you believe. But
Jay,
nobody
let me
won a
talk to her.
damn thing.
Hey,
Let me
Grace,
talk
y'all
to
have
her. Nah. I'm just gonna say this one thing. And I'm gonna be real with you. I don't want to back and forth. I don't even do that shit because I already see where your headspace is, and I definitely am a man of discernment. So I
Oh,
already know.
yes. Dismissive.
I'm gonna give you the floor.
Hmm.
There is a whole lot of talk as far as like the men not this, the men ain't doing that, and we all know that the fact is this. This is where I'm at. So if the men are so called everything that you say that they are, the only thing that I resort to is what is the root of that weed that's growing up in the yard? What is the root? The root is that okay, y'all say the dads aren't there. Who's there? So if you say that the men are this and these men are acting all emotional, the fact is we know this. There are a whole lot more single mothers nowadays raising young boys into men, so-called, than there are two family households. So everything you're speaking about is because of what women like yourself advocate for. Everything you preach about, because you think that you can do everything yourself. So now here it is. You advocate to do everything yourself. Then when the men, the boys who grow up to be fucked up, grow up to be real fucked up. Now all of a sudden it's the men's fault again. But yet you didn't want us there in the first place. Matter of fact, you advocated for us not to be there the most.
Yeah,
So
but
we're
do you
not
even
gonna hold on.
recognize
I'm
the
almost
circle
done. I'm
jerk that we're
landing it. I'm
talking about,
landing
where
it.
it's men's fault?
I'm landing it. So my whole point is this. Everything that you saying, if anything that you want to say when it comes to how this whole dynamic is shifting itself out, I think that you really need to go back and you need to look at what is the root of this weed that's growing up in the yard.
Oh Lord. All right. It's a circle jerk conversation, because what it is it's women's fault that men aren't involved in the household. But then it's women's fault that the kids end up screwed up because the men aren't involved with the
The
household.
only one that put
But
blame is y'all, not us.
like I said, it's all women's fault. No matter what, it's women's fault. Men behave badly, it's because
Nobody
women
said
made
it's
them
women's
behave
fault.
badly. Oh, really? What's your
I
we? You
asked
left
you a
your
question.
analogy.
No, no,
Then
no,
you
no, 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 no. You no, no. What you want to do is you want to turn this shit into I'm trying to attack women. Now, first and foremost, any woman that knows me from panels to real life in any form of fashion knows that's not my MO. First of all, I'm not manosphere, I'm not red pill, I'm not none of that. I am an objective man. That's it. I'm a man that's lived long enough and I've been observant. That's it. I'm speaking on what it is that I've observated. I am relaying back data, nothing more. So don't get that shit twisted. I do not subscribe to red pill manosphere, nothing. I don't. But there are a lot of talking points. There are a lot of factors that come from the manosphere that also comes from other areas that I take from. Politics. I'm not blue. I'm not red. I see where the blue comes from on some aspects. I see where the red comes from on some aspects. I am an independent thinker. I think for myself. I've always been a leader. You don't see no fucking body else on YouTube doing this shit. I am my own man. Don't ever get Smitty twisted. All right. What I'm seeing is that women would like to go ahead and eliminate men from the factor and then turn around and say that men are the reason why shit is so fucked up. Do not eliminate us from the factor. Say you can do every goddamn thing by yourself, then turn around and say it's our fault because shit is fucked up and you men need to come and clean this mess up.
The fact that this is where the conversation is demonstrates my point specifically, Smitty. I said that domestic violence went up during COVID. I didn't say men increased domestic violence. I didn't say it was women. I didn't say which direction it went. I
Stand on
said
your shit.
that
Don't act like you ain't been caping. Stand on your shit while you talk.
Are you done?
I'm not gonna let you get away with the fuckery. Stand on your shit.
There
Don't try
ain't
to
no
back down.
fuckery. The
Stand
fuckery
on
is
your
the
shit.
direction that you guys take it to. The fact that you want to make some blanket statement that male therapists are going to be better than female therapists when it has everything to do with each therapist, with each individual that they're talking to. Like, I'm not the one making generalizations in the statements that are making the opposition between
The
men and
only
women.
thing
That
you've
came
been
from you
doing is
two.
making generalizations this
No,
entire
I was
time. Everything
quiet.
you've been doing is a
Bullshit.
stereotype and generalization. Cut the bullshit.
What is
Stand
it?
on your
What
shit.
did I
Don't
say?
try to
No.
back down
Where
now.
did
I'm
I
going to call you out
generalize?
on it. My mic is
Now, tell
louder.
me
I'm going to call
exactly
you
what
out
I
on the
said. I
bullshit.
don't give a shit about
Don't
your
come up
fucking
here with
mic.
the bullshit and try to
Okay.
deflect the conversation
See,
because
here
I'm
we
going to
go
cut the
again.
fuck shit.
Okay, Smitty. You feel better yet?
I'm always better
Settle
than you.
down.
Yeah, keep telling yourself that.
Let's therapy.
And like I said,
Can we do that? Can we do that, guys?
I'm trying.
Can we stick to the topic? Importance of therapy. The importance of therapy. Therapy makes your life better. It helps strengthen your self-esteem. It is more meaningful and more focused on those things that are important to you. And keep in mind that therapy is just about helping you feel better, and it's about helping you live better as well. It's not just about making you feel better, guys, but it's about living better and having a better life. That's what it is to help you go to therapy. Therapy is a place to explore your mind to a new depth, get to know yourself better. As you gain more insight into who you are, you will learn how to develop into your person you've always wanted to be, grow to the next level, and be the absolute best version of yourself. All I'm trying to put out there, guys, that therapy is a good thing. Therapy is a necessary thing for some, and we're not recognizing it. I don't have to wait until a person tells me therapy see every day and eating myself to death. There's blatantly there's a problem going on. What am I going to wait around till a licensed person tells me, oh, by the way, you need therapy? You know what I'm saying? It's like, come on now. I mean,
Well,
hold on a second. I know this is my boy, Angry Man. Hold on a second. Hold on. I gotta add him on. He really gonna call now. Can you see him? I can't see him in yet.
I'm in here. What's up?
What? How are you, sir?
I
Thank
can
you
see
so
him.
much for coming to the show.
I can see him,
appreciate
Grace. He
you.
in here.
I'm doing all right. What's good with y'all?
What's up? What's up?
Well, let me ask you this, Angry Man, because you be spitting some real shit. And I'm trying to get people out here that are lost in the sauce, damaged, toxic, fucked up, you know, bleeding on people that never cut them. Because I'm telling people out here, it is not our responsibility to unpack their shit. Now, we can help you fold it and put it away, but it's not my responsibility to fix you. What do you have to say about that?
It's not. It's each individual's personal responsibility to fix themselves. If they're adults, if they're fully grown adults, then what they should be doing is they should be seeking professional help. They should be going to a therapist, not as no short fix or a band-aid, but to actually do the work, which is going to take time to repair whatever trauma they went through or whatever caused the damage that caused them to function the way they function.
Absolutely. I mean, I remember there was a time where I would try to talk to my ex and he was like, oh, don't go Dr. Phil on me now. I'm like, well, fuck it then. You know, you want to stay fucked up, you stay in your fucked up world, but I ain't got nothing to do with it. I know I'm gonna go get therapy and get myself better, and you can either come along for the ride or I'll drop you off at the next stop and lower longer together. Because once you do the counseling, you do the work, and you heal and you grow, you move forward. And I'm not that old Grace anymore. I'm not. What was the Grace? My therapist said we're gonna work on being more graceful versus so gangster. So every time I feel myself going there, I remember those words: stay in your gracefulness, embrace your grace. You know, I don't allow people to trigger me. I still got those triggers, but I just don't allow it to get activated as quickly. Or you know, you got to learn to pick and choose your battles. I always grew up listening to my dad saying it's a reaction to an action. I wish he was alive right now so I can tell him, nah, Dad, you don't have to react to everything, because no reaction is a reaction. I'm not fucking Frogger. I'm not jumping at every little thing, especially when you have a kid. You can't go crazy all the time in public because somebody triggered me. Your kid is watching you. He's seeing how you act. Go ahead, Smitty. What did you have to say?
And more.
I was camming down.
Foxy, let me introduce you, my dear.
I'm good. Foxy, what's up, baby?
Let me
How you
introduce
doing,
Foxy
bro?
real quick.
I'm good.
Foxy, thank you for coming, my dear. How you doing?
Hi, beautiful Grace. I'm good. Salute to the channel, salute to the panel, salute to the chat.
So what do you have to say about therapy? I know you've been going through it. You know, it's not no big secret that you lost your beloved dad a few weeks. Well, I would say now it's been a couple months.
Yeah,
I mean, that alone
was 3 months.
I mean,
right. Well, I'm not doing therapy right now. I'm actually waiting for the people to.
So what's your take on therapy?
I think therapy is very much needed, but there's different forms of therapy. You don't have to go speak to someone specifically that's licensed. You can do other things that will resonate with you. And like 4 years ago, when my grandmother transitioned, I got more into you know, I guess spirituality, but like doing more of yoga and getting in tune with myself. And I started actually feeling better and started journaling. And journaling was definitely my therapy, because I wrote down everything that I wouldn't necessarily tell other people. And so I got notebooks and notebooks and notebooks of stuff that, you know, it's just different forms of therapy. And like the brother said prior to me, that you know, it's your responsibility to find it in yourself, to take care of yourself. But it's hard when there's generations of, because I'm like third generation of, we needed therapy, but nobody went because it was taboo. And, you know, at 9 years old, I'm trying to off myself just because I couldn't deal with what was going on with my parents, and they didn't even know. So it's really deeper than just saying, oh, you need to go talk to a therapist. You need to go, like, you got to find outlets that some people can't afford to go see somebody professional. And so therefore you got to find a different way of doing, you know, taking care of yourself. So,
I think,
and Foxy, you're absolutely. Oh, go ahead, Gary. Go ahead.
I definitely agree, and I was going to say that there are different forms of therapy. It's not always has to be professional. I mean, I think that it's important that if you have someone that you could talk to. I mean, how many times we've been upset or something has happened and we just needed someone to vent to, that actually, you know, actually listened and pay attention to what we were saying, and it made us feel better. You know, that's therapy. There's so you know, so there are different types of therapy. Also, I want to say too, I think that when it comes to relationships, what has happened is a lot of people pick the wrong partners, so they get into a relationship with a toxic partner. Either one is toxic, or both of them is toxic, and that's not a good recipe. So I think that, in dealing with that, we have to learn to be more careful on choosing our partners, right? Because our partner is supposed to be our safe space, right? We don't want a partner that if we're upset about something, oh, I don't want to hear it, or you talk too much, or or saying anything like that. So you're supposed to be able to talk to your partner, vent to your partner. And I think that if there was, and I always say this, and Grace knows, and it was always said on the show, if you communicate effectively with your partner, a lot of this toxic stuff would not be happening. So, but because that doesn't happen, then there's trauma issues that either start or continue, which is going to lead to you to go get professional therapy.
Hey, hey, Gary, can I say something real quick,
Go right
briefly,
ahead.
before anybody listen? I totally get where you coming from, right? But we have to remember, see, I'm all about not the leaves and the pellets of the flower of the plant. I'm looking at the root system, right? So when you talk about these men need to do this and they need to communicate, I would say for myself, the main reason why I have such effective communication skills is because of what I was raised around, my root system. I am the leaves, I am the branches of what it is my root system has been. And I think that we keep trying to ride over that part,
That's
right?
not what I'm saying. I said communication. It's a couple.
I'm not saying,
when
I'm
you're a
not
couple,
disagreeing with you,
when
Gary.
you're a couple, it's a man and a woman. Both of them need to
And
effectively
what I'm trying to
communicate.
tell you, Gary, is that neither that man nor woman will know how to communicate effectively if their root system is not proper. If they came up around a function of, non-communication, arguments, fights, and ghetto shit and everything else, right? When they then get together, what the fuck you think it's
Well,
going to
good.
be, Gary?
And I don't disagree with that, because that's something that I've addressed on a previous show, where if you're not raised in a household, if you're raised in a household where mom and dad is always fighting and it's toxic, then obviously that you're gonna take in that, right? You're gonna think that's normal be
So what I'm
behavior.
saying to you is this, Gary. I'm not disagreeing with you. All I'm saying is, put it like this. That was a caveat. I threw in a caveat basically saying, Gary, I get where you're coming from. They need to communicate this, and that. I'm not about necessarily the cure. I'm always about the prevention. How do we prevent them even getting to that point? We need to notice what came before them, because what came before them will be what it is that is during them and after them. That's it. I
That's the
digress. My mic
reason
is
for
muted.
Right
therapy.
now, exactly. So, and listen, I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying. As we move into this new generation of young men and young women, then yes, the household needs to be stable and it needs to be healthy. Then there can be proper relate. They'll be taught to have healthy relationships, right? So I don't disagree with that,
Eliminating the need for therapy.
right? I don't disagree, but what I'm saying is where we're at now is that a lot, the past generation, there's a lot of toxic stuff that has happened, right? And because the toxic stuff that has happened from the upbringing, they're getting into these toxic relationship, and that's where we're at now.
Well, where does that toxic upbringing come from?
Where does it come?
The
Multiple
single
areas.
mother epidemic.
Oh Lord. Okay, here we go.
So
It's the
Yeah,
fact.
here I
So
go, pondering to men again, right?
here's the thing, because I was listening to the conversation earlier, and I was listening to the back and forth between Smitty and Leanne. And what I'm trying to figure out is if you have a high percentage of single mother raised households and you end up with a generation of dysfunctional children, who do you blame for that if not their mothers?
There's a lot of dads
Well,
that choose to leave.
I'm gonna say the
You
single
said what?
mothers.
What did she say?
I said there's lots of men that choose to leave and don't participate with their kids.
Okay, and we're not talking about the men that choose to lead. We're talking about the households where there is no man there to lead for whatever reason.
Okay.
Who do you?
It took a man to start the kid.
Okay, again, let me back up again. If you have a high percentage of single mother-led households and the children are growing up dysfunctional, who do you blame for that?
Depends on the dysfunction that you're referring to.
Dysfunction in general.
There's a lot of dysfunction in general in two-parent households.
Now, let me point out what you're doing right now. And this is the reason why nothing ever gets fixed. The reason nothing ever gets fixed is because you refuse to place the blame where it belongs. You cannot blame somebody for the rearing of a child if they're not there to input into the rearing of the child. So
Okay.
how are you going to blame the non-existent father that is not in the household for the behavior of the child when the child had to learn the behavior from somewhere?
Okay, but there's too many questions involved in your question.
It's really not.
No. Okay, then let's not be general here. I have 3 children.
Mm-hmm.
Their father's not involved.
Mm-hmm.
Not because I chose it, because they chose it. They have an open door. They could have been around. They could have participated. They could have taken their children, done what they wanted to do. Wasn't a problem. My children don't happen to be dysfunctional. They hold down jobs, have relationships, have grown up just fine. So I don't know how I'm supposed to address the children that aren't done. I am a single mom who raised my kids. They're respectful, functional humans.
Okay, well, here's the thing
So
about
how do you want me to address that, where the fault lies in each one of these individual situations?
well, here's
Because
the
they
thing.
are individual situations.
Here's the thing about that. Here's the thing about that. You have 2 conversations that can go on. And it's really annoying when people say don't generalize because you can't personalize every conversation. Some
Right.
conversations have to deal with the macro and not the micro, right? So you have a large percentage of women that are raising children in a single mother household. Now you're saying, okay, well, I was a single mother. I raised my children. They're functional. Well, guess what? You're the exception to the rule. You're not the rule, if that's true. So what we're talking about, we're not talking about the non-dysfunction. We're talking about the dysfunction. So if we're talking about the dysfunction, we can't personalize it to you because you're saying the dysfunction isn't there, right?
Well, that's the point. How do you apply the dysfunction in every situation when you don't know what the situation is? I have other girlfriends who have they're single moms. I've got a good friend of mine. She was my roommate for a short time. She has 2 children, 2 different dads. The dads are both alcoholics. They're both abusive to their kids and to her. And her kids are growing up fine because of the extra effort she's putting forward, not because of what the fathers were doing.
Okay,
I mean, there are different situations. I'm not saying that that's always the scenario. I'm not saying that every mom that's a single mom is doing what they're supposed to do. They're not out, I know single moms. I helped raise a child who is now back with her mother, but for the first 10 years of her life, I helped share custody with her grandmother because her mom fucked off when the baby was 3 months old, left me with her, and I proceeded to carry out 4 days a week with grandma, and we raised her until mom got done being a fuck up and got out of prison and quit with all the random dudes and everything else that's going on.
Okay, so
You know, those things do exist, but you can't just apply a blanket over every situation.
no, first of all, here's the thing. What you're talking about is
Okay, but
anecdote. What you're talking about is anecdotal evidence. You're talking about your own personal experiences. We can look at the society the way it functions right now, and we know there's a problem. So let me ask you this question to kind of drive home the point that I'm trying to make. Now, you're saying that you raised your children without the help of the father, right?
Yes.
And you're saying that your children are doing well for themselves, right?
Yes.
So who do you attribute to your children doing well for themselves?
Me.
So the father had no,
and my friends and my
your
parents and my family.
so the father had no input into that, right?
No.
Which means that
Or
your
maybe they did because they
means,
were
which
absent
means
and they weren't there to fuck them up when they were there.
exactly. So guess what? Guess what? If you can't say that the father, right? If you can't say that the father being absent, right? If you're saying that your children are doing well for themselves and you get credit for that when they're doing well, why is it if they're doing bad, only the father gets credit for that?
I'm not saying that.
But at the beginning of the conversation, you were talking about men have supposed to lead and this, that, and the third.
What?
You said at the beginning of your statement, when I said, who do you blame for the dysfunctional children out here when you have these high percentage of single mother households? And you said, well, the fathers need to lead or something to that effect, right?
No, I didn't say that. I'm just telling you that the single mother household is not created solely by the single mom. You know, yeah, there are some women that the men can't live with or whatever is going on. That could be.
But it remains, but okay, fair enough.
I also know a lot of single parent households that are led by men who are killing it. They're doing a great job with their kids.
Because men tend to be better single parents than mothers. But here's
based on what evidence, though? I mean, that's a generalization.
No, it's not. It's statistics. That's not a generalization.
It's an actual statistic.
That is a statistic.
Where is it? Show it. Cite it, please.
Leanne, the statistic is single, two-parent households, then single fathers, and then single mothers. Single mothers come last, whereas a single father does better than a single mother. Now, let's, for example, take out your friend that had 2 children from 2 alcoholics. Who do we blame? She picked those men to have babies with. I mean, the first one I can see, she, but then you pick another guy to have another baby with. You don't require marriage, and you have another baby with another alcoholic. So do we not put blame on her?
She wasn't married to them. I never said she wasn't married to them.
But she decided to have kids with a Pookie and a Ray Ray, and who do we blame then? Her or him? Because she had to see the signs that he was an alcoholic.
Neither one of them behaved that way at the beginnings of their relationships.
Okay.
Oh, so she's got to so what? When the guy married her, he didn't see the signs that he couldn't be a decent human. I mean, come on. You can't predict everybody's behavior from the get-go any more than a man's going to predict the behavior of the woman who's going to go off and start cheating on them or doing whatever's going on. Nobody's talking about how the man needs to be picking different. Both parties are making these children, and both parties are responsible for these children.
Actually, men do constantly talk about how men should pick better women. That is a constant conversation. But see, here's the thing. I'm not really tripping about she picked the wrong guy, and she didn't decide to be a single mother. I'm not tripping about the fact that is a thing. She may not have decided to be a single mother, but she did decide to continue being a single mother. That's where the problem is.
Mm-mm.
How did she continue to
Can I
choose to
say
be a single
I want
mom?
to interject in here really
How
quickly
did
because
she how did she continue? If you're the CEO of a company and you have a CFO, a chief financial officer, and they quit and they leave, and you don't decide to replace your CFO, 10 years later your company goes bankrupt, can you blame the CFO or do you blame yourself for not replacing the CFO?
How do you think she ended up with the second kid?
She ended up with the second kid because she picked somebody else and she obviously picked the same type of dude. The point the point that we're trying to make is that if you pick the wrong person, okay, cool. That was messed up. You learn from your mistakes. You're not supposed to. The point is the best shot for children to be successful, in spite of any anecdotal evidence or in spite of any exceptions, the best shot for children to be raised properly is in a household with a father and a mother. So if a woman picks the wrong person and it fails, they're not supposed to just be content with being a single mother.
And this is coming from the same groups of people that keep talking about anybody that has a kid is toxic and you need to stay away from them. They want the new woman who doesn't have the attachment, so they don't want to raise somebody else's kids. And I mean, come on, you honestly, that's basically saying that women need to solve all the problems.
Who said that dudes shouldn't date a woman that has kids?
I've heard it on these panels a million different times.
Did you hear it from me?
I don't know. No, not specifically. No.
Okay, then.
Hey,
So guess what?
I've heard it on panels that you've had,
So
though.
hey,
guess,
real quick.
Guess what? Here's the thing. Hold on. Guess what? You just did what you accused everybody else of, which is generalizing.
I'll take that. Yes, I did.
She been doing it the whole damn night, AM. Hey,
Please.
real quick. Hey, Foxy, you've been wanting to say something. Go ahead, love. Foxy want to say something.
Oh, thank you.
I
Just
got you, bro.
wanted to I agree with what Gary's saying, but there's just one pushback, and this is my experience, but I know, and I don't want to. I shouldn't make it my experience, but in regards to relationships, I was a teenage mom, so when you talk about choosing a partner, it's like even at that age, it's like you're not really super aware of what you're really getting into.
Then guess what? You had no business having a partner at that age.
No, sir, I didn't. But I took my responsibility as acting as an adult, and I became a teenage single mom. But I was living at home, and so I had my family's help. But we have to start at that age because this is when and technically 15, 16 is like you can become emancipated. So in certain eyes of the government, you can.
Yeah.
So we need to go back a couple because we're talking about adults in an adult situation. And
Yeah, but let me ask you this though. You have one child or you have children?
I have children.
Okay. Are your children grown now?
2 are.
Okay. Were they teen
Well,
parents?
grown, they're adults.
Were they teen parents?
Not at all.
Okay, then you solve that problem. That's the point that I'm trying to make. The point that I'm trying to make is that when we look at these issues in the community, the point is not to repeat the problem. So if a woman picks a guy that's a horrible partner or a horrible husband or boyfriend, they're supposed to do everything in their power not to repeat that problem. If you were a teen parent, you're supposed to try to guarantee that your children don't repeat that same process. That's the only way that a community can grow.
Correct. And I also feel like there needs to be more intervention because like, especially in my generation, it was like children are seen and not heard. And it's like, these kids need to be heard. They need to, if they have something to say, we need to listen to them, because what can happen is that they'll go into they'll go into the wrong arms then,
Let me ask,
and then they'll go into somebody who may appear to be on their side and listening, and then not know that they're getting into somebody who their childhood was traumatic, and then they're repeating a cycle. And you know what I mean? Like, we
let
got to
me
kind of nip it back in the bud and not talk to 30-year-old broken people who are picking, or making wrong choices. We got to like dial it back to
yeah, well,
teenagers.
let me ask you this, because I'm assuming you're a Gen Xer, right?
Yeah, I'm 47.
Okay, you're a Gen Xer. So do you acknowledge the fact, because I talk about this a lot on my show when it comes to the boomers, do you acknowledge the fact that there were a lot of young girls that were teenagers that had added responsibilities because their mothers worked all of the time?
Yeah,
And
I was a product of the latchkey. I had to take care of my
okay,
younger brother, so I became a
and
mom.
and one of the outlets for sisters like yourself is when you got old enough, you were looking for an out to get away from that situation, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay,
Is it
now
an out or was it attention?
this may
No,
not
it was
be.
it was for me, it was like just to be a kid. So I'm hanging out with now my friends, and that's the outlet. Like, now I finished watching my brother, my mom's home. Now I can go run out and hang out with my friends.
Okay, so this may not be specific to you,
Right.
but I know a lot of girls in my generation, because I'm a Gen Xer too. I know a lot of girls in my generation that they would go out and they would get boyfriends, and they would think that, oh, if me and this guy had a kid together, I'd be able to get a place and I can get away from my mother's house.
Absolutely right.
There was
My
a lot
mom
of
did that, and she was a boomer. Yeah,
exactly. There were a lot of girls that did that. Now,
That's true. That's fact. That's true.
this goes
Right.
back to the point that I was trying to make originally about where the problem begins. We in our community, we never want to point out the problematic mothers. And this is where a lot of the problems come from. And this is not for me just picking on women. It's just a fact. In our communities, mothers are infallible. So we don't call out any of their behavior. We have no problem calling out the deadbeat dads. We have no problem calling out the alcoholic dads, the abusive dads, but we don't call out the mothers. Now, Leanne, you said that you think that therapy is a good thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so guess what? When you go to any therapist, when they start delving into your past and delving into your traumas and your issues, do you know where they always go? They always ask you about your relationship with who?
I've never had him ask about my relationship with my mom, but that is a significant issue with women.
Most therapists will ask you about the relationship with your mom, whether you're a guy or a girl. And the reason why is because mothers are the first teachers, even if your father is there. For the first part of your life, you're getting most of your instruction, most of your teaching from your mother. And this is the reason why I say we as a society have to start looking at this, because there's a lot of mothers that are producing a lot of dysfunctional people. You can't get around it.
Yeah, but those mothers were dysfunctional to begin with.
Briefly, I will just say this, and it's just very briefly. AM, I'm with you on everything you're saying. Quick caveat. The relationship and how I see Foxy and her father, she definitely is a woman who knows what it is to have dad in her life.
Mm-hmm.
She's not, a typical type of, what we may be accustomed to speaking of.
Well, I didn't make it specific to her. I said that at the beginning.
No. Respect to you. I just wanted to go ahead and speak on her behalf on that part. That's it.
Yeah, I didn't make that specific to her. I said this may not be her situation, but there's a lot of, and I'm pretty sure she know girls that went through that situation. I know girls that went through that situation. You feel what I'm saying? Where they felt like that was their outlet, was to get pregnant by a guy or get married by a guy early to get away from their household situation. And sometimes it's because the mother's dysfunctional. Sometimes it's because they father beating them or abusing them. But that happened a lot for my generation.
That's right. That's facts.
Facts. Facts. Facts.
I think also what we can look at too, what has been produced is that some, you know, some of these women that they will give you an attitude, right? Because they've picked the wrong guy, and they got and the objective is not to pick the wrong guy a second and third time. But they go ahead and pick the wrong guy a second and third time, and want to give and want to have an attitude about it.
Yeah, they give up. And
so unfortunately, the cycle, that toxic cycle, keeps continuing. So
And
they don't
Gary,
take it.
that goes right back to what I've been saying this whole time. It's the root system.
I get, bro. I'm not disagreeing with you. I didn't disagree with you.
No. I'm not saying that you are, Gary. I'm not saying that you are, Gary. I'm just saying that's that root system. Anybody who knows about yard work knows you can cut the grass and just like mow them down, but they're gonna grow back. You got to deroot them. So we got to figure out that root system, and then we have to replant within that soil before it becomes unfertile. You smell me now? So that's all I'm basically saying, bro. I'm actually with you, Gary. I'm with you. I'm just making sure that the people listening know it's about the root system. Where the fuck does this shit come from?
The root system, the only way you're gonna produce fully functioning young adults is you have to do it within the confines of an intact family with a mature male and a mature woman.
Agreed. Absolutely.
Other than that, you have look. I'm not saying that there aren't people that grow up and become well-rounded from a single parent household. You see that, but that's not the norm.
I'm just saying that you
Go
ahead. I'm just saying we have to get away from this blame game because a lot of people aren't choosing that.
No,
they
we
find
gotta get the
themselves
fuck
in this.
away from
Just a
people how you
minute,
think.
damn it, Smitty.
Fuck that shit.
You don't even know what the fuck I'm about to say.
Poisonous
so back
ass
the
shit.
fuck up. Christ. I'm just saying we need to
One at
quit
a time,
vilifying
guys.
the individuals, and we're not disagreeing in principle. Angry man, I'm telling you. I'm not disagreeing in that principle. What I'm trying to say, but we keep generalizing, and that generalization keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I can be as responsible for that as a lot of the men that follow you on your channel and that have the conversations. And every time we say women this and men this, we lose fucking perspective.
Well, no, that's not the problem.
The fuck?
The problem isn't, look, and I hate the term blame game. And the reason why I hate the term blame game is because when someone is doing something incorrect, you are supposed to blame them for what they are responsible for. The only reason why we have a problem in this day and age, whenever we start pointing the finger at who's doing something wrong, the only reason there's a problem is because people do not want to function like adults and take responsibility for the shit that they're doing wrong.
Amen.
That's the only problem. The blaming people is not the problem. The problem is people accepting the blame for the things that they are wrong for and then fixing that.
Hey, real quick. No. Real quick.
Right.
Yes, how are you applying the accountability when
No.
Leanne.
Hold
a minute. Let me ask him a question. I'm answering what he just had to say.
That's
how
some
do you
bullshit.
apply? Okay.
Go ahead.
How do you apply the accountability when it is the conversation of women this and men this?
What do you mean? How do you apply accountability?
Because that's where these conversations keep living. in the so many women this, most women this, most men this.
Do you think for 1 second that when you point these things out, do you think that every person is rejecting it? Do you think that there's a possibility that when you're having these conversations, there are actually people that saying, you know what, I did do that fucked up and I do need to tighten up, whether they're male or female?
All I'm saying is those people aren't typically talking on these panels, because every dude that you see on here and every woman that you see on here is turning around and saying, that's not me. And
Well,
so I just don't see where the solving part is coming in.
That's the problem. And that's one of the biggest problems. When we're talking about this, the first thing you bring up the guys on YouTube that's saying they're not going to date a woman that has kids, and they're not going to do this and they're not going to do that. Stop focusing on the goofy ass dude and focus on the dudes that's actually about something. If you're choosing, you don't choose the person that's on some bullshit. If you call somebody out on their crap and they make an excuse or a justification for it, then you know that's not the person to deal with. Right or wrong?
No, you're correct. And that's on the personal level. I'm talking about in terms of how the conversations go. And that's the part that gets exhausting.
Well, no, hold on. Real quick. Do you not think that, like, for example, let me ask you this. You're damn sure old enough to know the old saying, only a real friend will tell you what when you have a booger in your nose, right? So my whole thing is that when you talk about like the shaming thing and all of that, I believe that you're missing the whole point of everything being said. Someone who wants to build, someone who wants to grow, someone who wants to be better, the only way that that's supposed to happen is if you have the right circle around you that's going to let you know this part is right, that part's not. And if what you're trying to say is everything that somebody says is effed up, if they're trying to correct you. So if Leanne, if you're my lady and you're 600 pounds, and I'm like, you know what, we need to get your weight down. Are you going to sit there and start crying and being like, no, you're trying to shame me? Or are you going to recognize that I see as a man, you're not going to be around long enough for us to really live our life because of your weight and because of your health, from diabetes, from swollen ankles, bad joints, low energy, you name it. Because of your weight, you're not going to be able to be as physical as me. So I'm just saying, hey, love, let's go ahead and let's get this right. But you keep on looking at shit like I'm trying to shame you. I'm trying to make you feel bad because you want to stay complacent. And that's why these women go for these weak, simp ass fuck niggas. Because they want the dudes that's going to allow them to stay right where the fuck they are. And we're not going to play these games like that's not what it is. The very moment that you get around a man that actually has a standard that you very well see that's above your living standards, you hightail the fuck up out of there ASAP. And not only that, you turn the fuck around and try to make it seem like it was something to fuck wrong with that man. No, it wasn't. You knew damn well you didn't meet up, you didn't add up to the qualities. So all I'm saying is not.
What is the basis of 90% of what you just said? The one thing that I really catch in the middle of this is, as a man, I say, anybody, a man,
you
woman,
mean you
race,
as a man?
anybody,
What the fuck just happened?
No,
hold on. Wait a minute.
No. You just said, and if I, as a man, say to you, a man, woman, the person down the street, a million people can observe and see somebody that's 600 pounds and think that they need to do something about it. It has nothing to do with being a man. And I have not done and turned around. And as soon as a man calls me on something, turn around and check out. So your whole statement has no
What the
basis
fuck
in
did you just say?
reality.
What
Okay.
the
First of
fuck
all,
did you just
You
say?
see what you just did is you
Okay,
turned this
guys,
adversarial
relax.
conversation.
Angry man, go
Relax.
ahead. Grace, somebody, I don't know. What the fuck? I digress. My mic is muted. Y'all rock the fuck out.
Hold on, Smitty. Hold on, Smitty. Leanne, what's the problem with him saying as a man?
I'm saying that he's going off on this tangent about if somebody, what I'm taking from his conversation, so maybe I took it the wrong way. What I'm taking, not conversation, his diatribe, what I take from it is if I were in an individual situation that I'm the type of woman that if somebody's going to critique my behavior for my betterment, to raise me up, that I'm going to cancel them out, turn tail, and call them stupid. Am I incorrect in my perception?
I don't think that's not what he was saying.
Then what was he saying?
What he was saying was he said as a man, because he is a man, and he was talking from the perspective of being your man and speaking from an authoritative position. That's what he was talking about.
Regardless. Okay, fine. I took that incorrectly. I'll stand corrected on that specific point. I don't see the necessity to
You didn't
establish
take it
that he
your
is a
way.
man.
You took it
Excuse me, just
one way. You took it one way, and that's the problem. It's not your way. It's one fucking way. It's the one way that I think. It's the one dynamic, the one bubble that I'm encompassed in. And anything outside of that motherfucker, I can't think nothing beyond that.
But hold on, bro.
Like that shit crazy to me, yo.
Why is that? But why is that such a sensitivity for a man to say that he's a man and establish the fact that he's a man when he's speaking to a woman? Why is that a problem?
he'd already established that at the first opening statement. If I were your man, blah, 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 blah. Then he says, as a man, like somehow a man has a higher authority of observation towards a woman than another human being does.
I establish my stance at every waking moment of my presence.
Oh my God.
Okay, so hold on for a second. Hold on for a second. Because let me say this. What is this thing with modern women where you always feel the need to emasculate men?
I didn't emasculate anything.
That's exactly what you were just doing.
How is it so damn threatening to have him not have to reestablish in
No.
in
What
one
I was
statement
saying
his
was
manhood?
threatening to you, so you try to demasculate me because it was threatening to you. Stop the fuck shit.
One at a time.
Hold on, bro. Hold on. Here's the thing. What you said was emasculating. I'm telling you from the position. Let me ask you this. Are you a guy? Are you a man? No, right?
I'm not.
Okay, so you don't understand how men see. This goes back to what we were talking about earlier when it comes to communication. When you say that you didn't do something to another person, you don't understand how men take that. It's women today that view men in a certain light. Oh, a man always want to rule everything. A man always want to be in charge. Man. So the moment that a man speaks like a man, in other words, asserts his authority, it's like, well, why did you need to say that? And it's like, it's not that serious.
It is when it's diminutive.
When it's what?
When a man has to assert his authority as a man in an effort to be diminutive of a woman, it is an issue.
No, it's not.
Why?
Did you create the society we live in? If you were in trouble right now and you called the police, some men are going to show up to help you, right?
Possibly.
Okay, the toilet you sit on was created by a man. The house you live in is created by a man. The car you drive is created by a man. What is wrong with a man speaking the facts about who he is? That is your insecurity.
It isn't an insecurity because women can build cars, women can do plumbing, they can build a fucking toilet, and they can build a house.
This world was built. Man came first. We come
Wait,
from
man, wait.
All right, don't go in the
we
Bible,
come from
Grace.
a man.
Wait. Check this out. Hold
But
on.
it's reality.
I'm not
I
saying that.
damn sure spat your ass out my nut.
Hold
That's
on.
okay.
I'm
When
not.
when there's martial law and the purge come out, we're gonna see who she gonna call out to.
Look, here's the
We'll
thing though.
see.
Here's the thing about
Amen.
this. Look, here's the thing about this. Okay, we know that women can do plumbing. Okay, but who invented plumbing? Who taught them how to do plumbing? This conversation will just keep going in a circle, and I'm not trying to say this to diminish women, but women have to acknowledge men the same way you want to be acknowledged.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of
gas right now.
Instead of trying to emasculate a man by proving to him, oh, just because you're a man don't mean you can tell me what to do, because that's really what that was. That's really what, and I don't even know why y'all say stuff like that, because when your homegirl tell you something, you don't listen to her either.
Based on what?
Based on the fact that that women today behave like petulant children.
Damn near based on anything homegirls say. What the fuck are we talking about?
Like it is not that serious. Like,
And guys,
my bad.
No, it's okay, sir. I have the statistics here. It says studies have found that children from single mother households are 5 times more likely to commit suicide than children from both unbroken household and single father households. 9 times more likely to drop out of high school. 10 times more likely to abuse chemical substances. 4 times more likely to commit rape. 20 times more likely to end up in prison. 32 times more likely to run away from home. The list does not stop there. Single mother households also account for 70% of all teen pregnancies, 70% of all child murders. They account for the majority of filicide cases, which means yes, a child living in a single mother household is more likely to be deleted by their parent. It is proven fact in studies.
And whose fault is
the
it that
majority of
women are
single
all
mothers.
single? It's not all women. Women aren't all choosing to be single
Women have
parents.
34
They just happen to end up that way.
Women have 34 forms of contraceptives. You allowed that man to shoot up the club. You have this end of the word to see if you're going to keep that baby. There are men out there telling women, I don't want a kid. I don't want to be a father. But a woman will still force a child on that man and then get him for child support.
I know of at least 3 men off the top
men.
of my head who have over 10 kids. I've got a dude that I know right now who has 10 fucking children, and his 16-year-old daughter is on her 4th fucking child.
And neither one of those children had to be born based upon the woman's decision. The man does not have any reproductive right.
He
was married to the woman that produced that child, but he doesn't choose to be in her kid's life right now.
It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, men do not have any reproductive rights. Women have reproductive rights. Women decide whether or not a child is going to be born. Point blank.
So is it the single mom? Is it the parent of the 16-year-old with 4 children now? Is it the mom's fault or is it the dad's fault?
Who raised her?
Right now, the mom raised them because dad pieced the fuck out.
And it's the mom's fault.
Well, what about the dad? Who thinks he's good?
He's not there. How the hell is it going to be his fault if he's not there?
Then why isn't he there? Did she hold a gun to his head and keep him away?
No. Stop the dumb shit. Hold on. Because I actually went through that. You know how when I was going through some stuff with the mother of my child. I actually said to myself, okay, I'm gonna let you get this check from the government. I didn't realize that while we were in my apartment at the time, this is when we first had my daughter. She's 15 now. This was like 2009, something like that. I had to leave my own fucking home just so Zaddy can walk in and see that that nigga ain't here so she can get a check. The fuck you talking about? Every incentive has been given to women to go ahead and say, fuck that man. All the way down to we'll give you cell phones, tablets, utilities paid, you name it. We're not going to play these games tonight. We're not going to be disingenuous, and we're not going to, pull the bullshit.
But we're not. But we don't even got to go that deep into it.
Really, bruh.
We don't even got to go that deep into it. How irresponsible is it for a person to have 10 children if they're having repetitive dysfunctional relationships? How irresponsible is that?
All his 10 children aren't with the same woman.
Again, so he just started being dysfunctional after the 10th child?
I don't know when the fuck he started being dysfunctional.
Exactly.
I'm just telling you that when he tries to have a conversation,
So how the fuck you got such a strong ass claim? How the fuck do you got such a strong ass claim if you don't even know?
Wait a minute.
Relax.
How are you going to make a claim about something if you don't know all the details of that situation? If you don't know whether or not he's being dysfunctional or she's being dysfunctional, you don't know why the relationship ended. If you don't know those details, then you can't say, oh, well, he was sorry or he was this or he was that. However, on the flip side, if he's not in that household to influence that child in a positive or negative way, and the mother is there, and then that child goes out and has 4 kids while she's, has 4 kids starting out as a teen, we know for a fact that she raised that child. We know that for a fact. If she's in that household with the child, we know she has had influence over that child, which means at some point she failed somewhere. Now, if we want to,
but whose fault is it that he's not there influencing the child?
Leanne, we've been blaming men for over 50 fucking years, and the shit is getting worse.
I'm not trying to blame all men. I'm asking you in this one situation how you solve the problem.
Hold on. Women have been blaming men for 50 plus years. In fact, they've blamed men so much that men have stepped up their game when it comes to being in their child's lives, and the problem is still persisting. The reason why is because you are pointing the blame in the wrong direction. At some point, you are going to have to hold the mothers accountable for the dysfunction of their children. At some point. It can't
Why
always
does it not? No, answer this question. You're what? I'm not telling you it's always the man's fault. I'm asking you in one specific situation, because this is what we're talking about. How does these things happen? How do these women end up in single parent households? That's what I'm trying to get to here.
You know how they end up in single parent households? They end up in single parent households because when the man says something like, as a man, they lose their fucking shit and they don't want to be with the nigga no more. Like you just did a second ago.
He ain't my man. That is not. I have no relationship with Smitty, and he has nothing but condescending shit to say 90% of the time.
No, you're not in a relationship with a man, but the way you talk to a man gives us an indication of how you talk to the men you are in a relationship with.
Oh no, I got a full indication. Fuck that. I've heard well over more than enough. If we were on the phone talking on some, like, I just met you on some dating shit, man, seriously, I'm gonna be honest with you. Depending on how I go, I just might smash and dash, and that's just about it. Fuck everything.
Hey Gary,
else.
Are you still here?
I'm not even playing.
And this is why.
Hold on. Gary, are you here?
And this is why you generalize.
You can ignore everything I just said, but you heard every motherfucking thing I just said.
Respectful of you, Gary, in our conversations that we've had many of.
Don't answer Gary, the trap.
What? No.
You be talking that dumb shit, yo.
Wait.
Really?
Hold on for a second.
Hold on. No, this is somebody that I have conversations with.
Stop. Hold on for a second. Now, a second ago, when he said as a man, you were like, well, why did he need to say as a man as if he has more authority or what he says is more important? But you just went to a man to give validity to your point.
Because Gary has been a respectful, intelligent conversation who doesn't interrupt people, who doesn't talk over people, who doesn't belittle people, who doesn't talk out his ass 50% of the time. Gary has mutual conversations that are respectful and
because
intelligent.
you don't agree with 90% of what I say because I don't cater to what the fuck you talking about. You want to try to discredit who it is I am, but I promise you, it's a lot more majority of people that agree with what I'm saying than what the fuck it is that you saying right now. I promise you
The first
that.
time I ever came on
Man, cut the
Embrace the Grace,
bullshit.
you were being the first time I ever came on Embrace the Grace, Smitty, you were being completely rude to Grace on her platform, and she wouldn't stop talking.
Do you know? I'm gonna shut up. I'm gonna shut up. I'm gonna shut up. Grace, I'm gonna shut up.
See, bro, this is why, fam, you can't get hyped like that because that plays into that shit. That plays into that shit. Like I see what she's doing and I see why it's frustrating you.
No, have I been rude to you?
Nah, angry man. Let's be for real. Be for real, AM. You know we don't like disingenuous. People being disingenuous. We don't like lies. You're not going to sit up here and say a bunch of bullshit, and especially when it has anything to do with referencing me, and I'm not going to address it. My brother, I watch you. You damn sure address shit, and you know where I'm coming from.
But listen, bro, listen. Here's the thing, right? I see what she's doing, okay, and I get it, right? Number one, for you, Leanne, for you to ask Gary that question, you're basing it off the fact that he hasn't challenged you.
No, he's challenged me in multiple conversations that we've had.
Oh, he has?
Yes, he has. Am I wrong, Gary?
No, you're not wrong.
Okay. Have I been rude or disrespectful in my conversation with you, Angry Man?
Look,
you're not being rude. You're not being outright rude, but you're throwing shade.
I'm taking it too. There have been several times that you have called me out on assumptions that I've made, and I've copped to it. Have I not?
But I'm not throwing shade. I'm having a genuine conversation. The point that I'm trying to make is that you're saying certain things that even though you don't see it, you're saying certain things that's getting the rise out of Smitty.
It's not hard to do, trust me.
So you're admitting that you're doing it on purpose then?
No, I'm saying that it happens every single time he's on a panel. It's not just me, it's multiple people that will do it.
No.
He consistently interrupts. Lord, okay.
Fuck this shit.
And he goes and interrupts again.
Shit. Most people, most of the time, first of all, look, watch this. I'm more requested to pop up and give my opinion, give my word, give my advice, because people want to hear what I gotta say. I promise you more than you. That's what you don't know. All right. Okay. So hold on, slow down. No, slow down. All right. Now, when you're talking about all of this, what I'm saying to you is that everything that I'm saying is based upon what you're trying to say that is not creditable to what it is that I'm saying. So if I'm going to cut that off, I'm going to cut that off. All right. The only person that's going to stop me from cutting that off is the person that is, which way you, Grace? This way.
Other way.
You know what I'm saying? That's it. Grace is the only one. That's it. So anything other than that, you already know where Smitty coming from with shit. I don't ever change on my stance. I don't ever change on how I represent shit. I go on men. I go on women. I don't have no discretion. This ain't no attack on you. This ain't no attack on feminism. I go on everybody when I hear dumb fuck shit. Period. And if you've seen me long enough, you know that. So don't make this seem like this is some attack on you or nothing like that, because I don't do that shit. Now
Never
go
said
ahead and
it.
rock out. Rock out with your badass. I digress. My mic is muted. Leave me the fuck
Oh
alone.
my God.
Alrighty then. Well, I mean,
Dumbass
this
shit,
was
right?
supposed to be about the important. This was supposed to be about the importance of therapy, and we've opened up 3, 4, 5 windows, which is okay. But at the end of the day, Leanne, you have to recognize the importance of men in our society. Women are never going to be equal to men. And as long as you keep thinking that, this is why you're going to have issues. We're not equal to men, Leanne. We're not. No matter how much you want to be or think we are, we're not. Yeah, we can do a lot of things that men do, but we don't do them. We complain about
That's
how
not
much
true.
money they make more than us, but we don't do the jobs that they do. I don't see women building sanitation down in the sewers, building highways, making a life for us. No. All I see is CEOs in skirts and suits barking orders, but they're not in the nitty-gritty in the coal mines. I mean, come on. When are we going to give men their flowers? A man once told me, Grace, the only time a man gets flowers is at their funeral.
Facts.
How sad is that?
Facts.
How fucking sad is that? That a man gets his flowers at a funeral. We expect Birkin bags for Mother's Day and birthdays, but we around here giving them fucking socks and ties and shit. When are we going to recognize?
Why would you make a
are?
statement that men only get flowers and then women expect Birkin bags? I don't expect that shit. It's just like, you just fly from one end to the other.
Yeah, because
say
we want everything but give nothing.
Really?
Okay, but now if it doesn't apply, let it fly. If the shoe fits, wear that shit. Okay? If it doesn't, but you know there's a lot of women out here that all they do is take, but don't give back.
And the fact that we focus on the conversation of all the women that take, we don't talk about the women that are out there getting their fucking hands dirty, raising their kids right, doing what the fuck they're supposed to do. We're not out here
we're doing what you're supposed
We're
to be
wasting
doing.
our time on the bullshit conversations of the people that shouldn't be part of the conversation.
You don't get a gold medal for doing what the fuck you're supposed to be doing as a woman, as a wife, and as a mother. That's what we got put on this earth to do.
Well, none of those women you're talking about are sitting on this panel or interested in what's going on because they're out looking for fuckboys.
You said, what about fuckboys?
I said none of the women that she's talking about are sitting on this panel. What? They're out on their Saturday night looking for fuckboys or whatever night it is, Thursday night.
Okay, now let me ask you this. The women that's out looking for fuckboys, is that the fuckboys' fault or is that the women looking for the fuckboys?
It's both of them.
No, it's not. No, it isn't. That's my point. The point, see, this is the very point. The point is, whenever it's time to place blame, it's either the man's fault alone or it's the woman and the man's fault. It's never just the woman's fault. There is never a scenario. There is never a scenario where women can wear the blame by themselves. They either wear it with the men or the men wear it alone. How the fuck is it a fuckboy's fault? How the fuck is it a fuckboy's fault that he ruined a woman's life that chose to deal with him?
I never said it was their fault that they ruined the life. I said they're both out there doing the same thing.
No, here's the thing, and this is what you don't get. See, women have spent so much time focusing on trying to have the same power as a man that you neglect the power that you actually have. The power.
I don't neglect shit. I'm not out here trying to have the same power as a man, sir.
Can I please finish? Can I please finish what I was saying? So, yes, you are. And the reason why you are is because in the middle of me making that statement, you talked over me. That's the type of shit I expect dudes to do. And when a dude does that in person, I can punch him in his face. I can't do that with a woman. Okay? So the thing about it is, women, maybe not you, spend so much time trying to mimic the power of men that they neglect the power that they actually have. Your power that you actually have is you can literally determine who the fuck you're going to deal with, because men are out here pursuing you. So guess what? 10 fuck boys can approach you. You don't got to talk to none of them because you know another dude is going to talk to you. Every day you walk out the crib, men are looking. It's us who have to fucking run around here trying our best to find the best woman through all types of goofy shit. Y'all are literally sitting at the table like Simon Cowell while men walk up to the damn table and fucking audition to be with you. Men do not have that luxury. So when you sit back and say, oh, well, you know, it's both their fault. It's not both their fault. Women determine who has sex with them. There's no way around that. You can say whatever you want to say, but that is a fact of our society.
Yo, we good, y'all. We're supposed to be talking about the importance of therapy, but it sounds like this is a therapy session in
This
itself.
is therapy. This is
I was
therapy.
about to say this was
mean,
therapeutic to the motherfucker. I swear on mothers. On mothers this was.
I need a
I
drink.
shit you not, my nigga.
Where's my wine? I need a
Hey,
drink.
Smitty.
I'm like,
What's up, Blue? Lowski, talk to me.
Hey, listen. I want you to know that you can get your point across without using any cuss word, and it's just as effective.
Nah, listen. I'm gonna be real with you, Low. You know something? I know that, but one thing that a man does know is when to go ahead like a porcupine. Porcupine doesn't always walk around with the spikes out, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they know when to definitely do so. Think about any form of nature, right? They know when to go ahead and release that, let's say, defense mechanism. My defense mechanism is when I'm hearing anyone speak against. Now, I'm sorry, I'm going full throttle. Do you want to know why, Blue? Because it's too many men that's too fucking quiet.
Facts.
You know something? If it was more men that was just as boisterous and really spoke out, what I know is that just like as much as they talk about that six-figure guy, that's the what, 1%. I know me as a manly man, as truly a man of like true decorum, class, motherfucking discipline, and everything else. Don't get it twisted. When I'm up here on these panels and I'm saying what the fuck I'm saying, I promise you, this is because it's a message that's getting across. Now, my thing is that I don't give a shit about how the message is received. I only want to make sure that the message was received. That's it, bruh. I don't give a fuck how they take it. I don't. Fuck them. Fuck how they take my message. If I sound like I'm too harsh, I don't give a shit, my G. I don't. You want to know why? Because because just like the video we did the other night, why you do that video the other night of this goofy ass nigga with his glasses talking about some I got roses with his dumb ass bitch? Why? Because this nigga don't know how to read the floor.
Yo,
Because it's too many men like that move in that soft ass manner.
Look, I'm gonna say this because
the fuck we talking about.
I'm gonna say this because I get a lot of flack for cursing too.
Oh, and I love you, Blue. You know I love you, dog. Lowski, you my man. All day. Go ahead, AM.
Look, I get a lot of flack for cursing too. And the only thing I can say is this: a lot of these people that get sensitive to hearing cursing, you'd never be able to live in New York City. Ever. You'd never be able to do it.
Well, sir, I've never been around you. Of course, I know who you are, and I wasn't telling him not to curse. About what I said. You can still get your point across and get somebody together without using a curse word as a man.
You definitely can.
Your delivery, your stance, your points, your facts that you give are more than enough. Your delivery to her or anybody else who's listening is enough. And unlike you, I have nothing against the people from the up top. I'm in the South, so my delivery anyway.
Oh, definitely.
Hey, Lo, I'm with you, Lo. I'm with you, Lo.
Listen,
I understand.
Listen, you can certainly get your message across without cursing, but shut up just isn't as strong as shut the fuck up. I'm just saying, bro.
I'm not disagreeing.
It's not the thing.
Nah, that's a fact though. Nah. That's a fact though. You know what's crazy? You know what I noticed? I noticed a lot of these like even in our spaces on YouTube, I've noticed a lot of the black YouTubers, they almost be like, press the fucking like button. Like it's almost like we gotta yell at motherfuckers now. It's like when you say it, when you say it nice and shit, like, all right, go ahead, smash the like button. Go ahead and subscribe and share this channel. But niggas just don't do the shit, bro. And it's true. It's a certain amount of like, we gotta put that Kool-Aid in niggas' veins, bro. We gotta put that Kool-Aid in niggas, bro. I do y'all like feel that, so I see both parties. But Blue, I do get where you coming from, brother. But again, I see where you at, bro. No bullshit.
I get what Blue's saying. Blue is a Southern gentleman. I get it. Ain't nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? But look, sometimes you just gotta put a exclamation. You gotta put a punchline at the end of that statement. I'm just saying.
No, but
some passion to it.
I might not cut.
You know.
But I raise my voice. That's more than enough. And he's seen what he's got on. He was on my live, and he had somebody want to go back and forth with him. I told her to stand down. Oh, well, if it wasn't you, I wouldn't do it. And she's still trying to argue with him. We saying the same damn thing.
Facts.
Well, well, here's the thing, bro. And no offense to you, you feel what I'm saying, but you might just be able to just raise your voice because from what I can see right here, you know what I'm saying, you look like you a big brother. You feel what I'm saying? You got that deep ass fucking voice. You might not need to do that, but just say something a little louder. You feel what I'm saying?
Hey. Big Blue is the force. That's the force right there. That's the force. Just know that. Blue the force.
So as many I talk to, I asked them one thing. I said, listen, if we're having a conversation on the live, please talk to me as if I was sitting beside you.
Word.
I'm 6'4", 330 pounds.
I knew it. I fucking knew it.
Like I said, Blue was the force. I
knew it.
So you don't have to curse to get your point across, Blue.
Nah, you don't.
Just by you talking a little bit loud, people are gonna shut up.
He ain't even got to talk. He could just walk into the room.
Like shit though.
Look, us light-skinned brothers, this 5'11".
But I get it because he's working with me too, guys. He's working with me too. You
the
know,
little
I'm
chihuahuas bark and they don't got no
I'm
bite.
trying to be more ladylike and more graceful, but it's hard when you're half Sicilian, half Dominican from the top, and you want to get something across with passion. You know, just like AM said, shut up sounds so much different when you say shut the F up. Yes, sir.
Hey, Foxy, you said he has no bite? Don't do that, Foxy.
No, she didn't say me. She talking about her.
No, y'all all are talking over each other, so you can't hear when somebody's saying something. But I said it's like a chihuahua. They're little and they got all that bark, but they don't have no bite. So with brother Blue there, it's like he doesn't have to do all the barking. He just sits back and says it, and that's it.
Cause he's a big ass Rottweiler.
It doesn't matter the size, bro. It doesn't matter the size. It's how your deliverance is.
Size does matter.
Yo, look, let me tell you something.
I do get where Foxy coming from. I know a couple big soft ass niggas. I'm not gonna lie. Foxy, I know some big soft ass niggas. Rock out,
Yeah, and
AM.
I don't want to. It's not. It's just a
Peter, you
generalization
just
and
want
it's
to
an
marry
observation.
Foxy. Anything she says, you gonna go with.
No,
Smitty.
no, no,
That's your
no, no. That's just my boo. That's just my boo. I ain't, I ain't trying to marry her. That's just my boo right there. Like, leave us alone. Leave us alone.
For the record,
We got a love thing going on.
and for the record, Foxy, that Chihuahua, I feel like that was a light skin joke, but I'm gonna let it slide.
And you're far from light skin. Do you see how I look? Please
No, I'm
don't.
light.
And you said you from New York?
I'm definitely light skin. Yeah,
What, Brooklyn?
yeah.
I'm gonna keep my mouth shut.
What you could tell, right?
I sure
Foxy
can.
all the
He
way,
got the
I
hat
Brooklyn.
sure
on.
can. No, I'm the Bronx.
You see the
I'm
hat
from
he
the
got
Bronx.
on?
Huh?
I said I'm from the Bronx, so I'm gonna keep my mouth shut about Brooklyn.
Brooklyn in the house. I'm from Brooklyn too.
Word. What part?
Crown Heights, Brooklyn,
Woo,
Flatbush.
woo, woo. That's what's up, bro.
Hold
Yep.
on, hold on, hold on. Biggie from Brooklyn, right?
Yep.
From
Thanks,
Flatbush.
guys.
And Jay-Z, Mossy.
Jay-Z.
Where's Mossy? That's Is that Brooklyn?
Yeah, that's
Yes.
Brooklyn. That's right there.
Okay, okay, okay.
It's right there.
I
Near.
like Nas.
It's
Fuck that. I
different
like
sections.
Nas and Prodigy. I'm on Queensbridge. So anyway, y'all rock out.
Queen's in the house.
I just want to say this really quickly because this is therapy to get out, our disagreements or grievances rather, but like in all fairness rather, Leanne she's not saying anything that's bullshit. But we have to be devil's advocate when we're talking because yes, women have the power in quotes, but it's still a man's world in quotes. So it's no one wrong person in this situation because the man will they'll say, you got, it's your body, you got your rights. But then they're setting legislations like, nah, you can't do all that.
Well,
You
yeah.
know what I mean?
Women,
So we have to draw back the finger pointing because it's like a double-edged sword. Like you're saying women's got rights, but it's still a man's world. How do
but
we
no, but no.
how does that all happen?
Here's the
You know what I'm
thing.
saying? So wait, I just want to say because y'all was all over with it and I haven't spoken much.
Go ahead.
And I don't because that's just me. I say one thing, I don't repeat myself. I don't get into fights with my husband. If he'll be the one to keep going on, and I'll just sit back. I say it once and that's it. I don't, if it's disagreeable, it's disagreeable. I'll hear his side and I may not agree right away, but I'll hear it out and I got to sit and marinate with it. And that's what I've been doing with this conversation is listening and marinating with what you gentlemen are saying, but Leanne also has a point, and I tip my hat off to her for holding her down, because for standing her ground. She's not saying anything wrong, and she's not pointing fingers at you gentlemen either. But I feel like you guys are taking it personal, and she's not taking it personal. She's just making observation, and that's what we have to do. I think we need to listen more and not be quick to just talk because you're missing points and you're taking something personal that's not really personal.
Well, no, I'm not.
I just wonder why we could never get into a conversation where we come to understandings of the perspectives of the people in the room and not about the people that aren't in the room.
Well, that's because when people come in the room and they're being disingenuous from jump, it's really hard to move forward when we can't even be realistic about basic factors about what it is that we're speaking about in the first place. I digress. My mic is muted. Rock the fuck out.
Well, here's the thing.
It's shade.
Nobody's saying that she's wrong, but there's a such thing as a half truth, right? So a lot of the things she's saying is correct, but there are parts she's leaving out. And the only reason she's leaving those parts out is because she has a bias for women. And that's not me taking it personally. That's just me making an observation.
There's parts you guys are leaving out too, is what I'm trying to say.
What part am I leaving out?
The part about the men that are piecing out and leaving the women with the kids. and they have what they have to work with, whether it's their fucked up childhood, their perspective, why they chose the man, whatever. They're still with the kids. They're still, most people have an intent to do a good job with their children.
Let me ask you a question. How many people are born with a sixth toe or like a sixth finger? Percentage wise. Because that's basically right around the factor of percentage of what it is that you're talking about. How many people do you walk around and see and they say, "Hi, how are you?" And it's a six fucking thumb sticking out that bitch. I'm trying to figure this out.
You
You keep talking about an extreme of something.
Yeah, you're talking about guys that's just getting up and walking out, and it's not that simple. It's not that simple. You literally have an entire
But there
document.
are men that are, but there are men that do that, Angry Man.
Yeah,
there's a lot of them.
Yeah, you know what? Those men represent about 8% of the black male population. We're talking about black people.
Nah, fuck that. Because you know what?
No, we're going to talk about men, period. It doesn't matter.
Say, go ahead, Foxy. Go ahead.
We're going to talk about men,
Foxy.
period, because it's a generalization. So we need stats, we need statistics of who are these men across the board. If we're looking at just one set, then yeah, it's going to outnumber our weight. But are Asian men walking out? Yes, there are some Asian men that have that, or Caucasian men or whatever they're called. Yes, there is. Yeah, it is. There are men that do that. But then there are deadbeat mothers, women that don't take responsibility for their children. And it's rare, but it happens. And I don't have any stats in front of me, so I'm not going to quote any percentage because I don't know what the percentage is.
Well,
and if we're going to be talking about this type of thing, I think we need to have percentages so we can get a better understanding. But
I just gave you the percentages. That's from the CDC. As far as I can't speak for the other demographics, the difference between our demographic and other groups is anytime we do something dysfunctional, there's a huge spotlight on it, and it's perpetuated more. So I can't really speak to the statistics of everybody else, but I will say this: when it comes to black men, deadbeat black men account for 8% of black men. 8%. You literally have a guy in
what's for the women? What's the percentage of women
of deadbeats? You can't quantify that. And the reason why you can't quantify that is because some women are deadbeats and they got the children in the household with them. So it's harder to measure that.
That's interesting.
And Leanne, you made a comment tonight that I'm always pondering to men. You're right. Because my channel is about advocating for men, because for too long we've been pointing the fingers at men and we never want to take accountability for our bullshit. I'm tired of women talking about men ain't shit, but who raising these ain't shit men? I'm tired of women saying we don't need men.
And that statement was in reference to
whether
or not a female therapist is worse than a male therapist, which is a drastic generalization.
I didn't say it's worse. I said I prefer. And I've experienced, and I'm talking from experience.
You said you
because
agree
I had a female
that male therapists are better.
Based on her experience.
Yeah, because that's the
she
experience.
Didn't say that at first.
Off
she
of my
later.
experience, Leanne.
You said that after my statement.
But what does it matter?
So are you saying?
If I feel that men is better?
So are you saying that women are better?
Go ahead, Ian.
Are you saying?
No, I'm saying any therapist is better depending on the person they're doing therapy for. It doesn't. There's not. You can't turn around and just say a female therapist is not going to be a good therapist. Any therapist is going to be better as long as they have the correct relationship. They're a good match. You have to be a good match with somebody doing therapy.
Do you believe that it's possible for men to be better therapists?
I think anybody can be a better.
Okay, you're being disingenuous now because she said.
How am I being disingenuous? Jesus.
She said based on her experience, she had a female and a male, and based on her experience, the man did better for her as a therapist.
Okay, but when I made the comment to her statement, about being pandering, the other gentleman that was on here said, let's be real. If you're going to do therapy, this is long before you were on here. He said, always get a male therapist because a female therapist is going to get all in your feelings and talk about that. And that's when she agreed with him at first. She said, no, I agree. I think a male therapist is going to be better. And then later in the conversation, after I made my statement, she said, I've had both a male and a female therapist, and I preferred the male therapist.
Okay, so let me ask you this question. Would you agree that there are some things men do better than women and some things women do better than men?
Yes. Does that mean it's therapy? Not therapy is a personal situation, and any therapist, male or female, can be the right therapist for any individual.
That's not
Depends on what you need.
That's not necessarily true. It's not necessarily true.
That's an opinion.
No, it's actually based on something. It's actually based on something. Like when you look at therapy as a discipline, traditionally women tend to side with the women in therapy, which means they tend to coddle women. So if you have a therapist, let's say for argument's sake that you go to family therapy where it's a marriage therapist or whatever. Traditionally, therapists have usually victimized the woman and vilified the man. So nowadays you have more male therapists that are trying to delve more into the issues that men have, as opposed to just vilifying them and saying that they need to be more sensitive and understand the women that they're dealing with. So that's probably where that's
bro. We got to put that Kool-Aid in niggas, bro.
That's probably where that's coming from. So like we can't. Here's the thing, and I don't
Well,
really.
we weren't talking about couples therapy in that moment. We were talking about individual therapy. But I mean, yes, I can imagine that there would be a difference in terms of couples therapy, and I would personally choose based on the situation, based on the therapist. To be honest, I just all these generalizations get under my skin.
What is the one thing that you say men do better than women?
What?
You said you admitted men do things better than women. What is the thing that you're admitting that men do better than women?
Hard labor.
Got to do it, angry man. In your honor, man, angry man.
Hey, hold the fuck up.
That's it.
She said hard labor.
What?
Yeah, she said that shit.
What the fuck? I'm gonna calm down. I'm gonna calm down and breathe easy.
She said hard
Really?
labor.
Yeah, there you go, Smitty. Don't get triggered.
She said hard labor. I like. So you think that's one of the only things that men do better?
I don't know. I mean, I could think about it more, but
okay. Well, one, men are actually better scientists. They're better mathematicians. They're better philosophers. There's a lot of categories.
Oh, hold on. As much as we ask women to cook, we love you to cook, but believe it or not, most men are better chefs.
Yeah.
I'm one of them. 27 years.
Yeah. And the only reason why I would lean more towards, and don't get it twisted, I'm not saying that female therapists are horrible. If you get a good female therapist, there's nothing wrong with that. The only reason why I would lean towards men being better therapists is because men are more problem solving based. So you have some people that go to therapists and they say, oh, well, therapy sucks. And you be like, well, why do you think therapy sucks? And they say, because it just drags out and it doesn't really solve anything. And usually when someone says that, I'll ask them, did you have a male therapist or a woman therapist? Because sometimes women therapists can tend to keep you in your feelings throughout the whole therapy session over time, and they never get to a problem solving situation. They never get to the situation where it's time for you to do the work to actually solve the problem.
Yeah, they wait till the last 3 minutes of the session to finally give me an exercise to work on when we could have got that over with in the first 5 minutes of the session. So, and I'm
I think
coming
it
from
depends on the
experience, Leanne. And
therapist.
Angel, welcome. Never seen you here before. What do you have to add to the conversation besides the cash app? What you got?
Therapy. I had to go to therapy as a teenager there because of my developmental disorders, where I had a lot of outbursts, anger issues, and all that there. And throughout my teenage years, I had to see a therapist pretty regularly. She was a female, but at the same time, maybe there wasn't much of advice that she would give to me earlier on because I would tell her like my struggles, my problems, and everything that I was dealing with. And one of the earlier advice she gave to me is how to handle my coping mechanisms of how to keep myself calm. Like how there are those that use a stress ball, use a fidget spinner, and she just gave me advice to do what would make me less stressed. And so I took that advice, and it helped throughout the rest of my teenage years and into adulthood. And fast forward to today, there are still issues I have problems with in my life there, but a lot of times it's people's judgment towards me.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that input. I really appreciate it. So you're saying, just to recap what you just said, that you had some good advice from a female therapist and you're still carrying that on to your adulthood. Did I get it right?
I'm still carried on, but at the same time, there are still things that get me stressed. And a lot of times, whenever I go up on someone's panel for the first time and they hear me, they're like, "WTF? Why does he talk so loud? Why does he stutter like an idiot?" And Smitty had gotten to know me pretty well these last few months here, and the way that I speak, the way that I sound, and the way that I'm like very long-winded is just who I am as a human being. I've always been this way, and there's really nothing I can do about it. People say, "Well, yes, there are. You can learn to talk shorter." Well, regardless if I can or can't, it's just something that's always been a part of me. And with me being 33 years old now, I just don't want to change anything in me as a human being. When
Angel,
I
Angel,
feel,
Angel, Angel, Angel,
yeah, yeah.
Angel. All right. Okay.
You know me pretty
Don't
well, Smitty.
I, I got you, Angel. Angel, don't ever say as a man, there's nothing more that I want to know and or learn. I am a 40-year-old man. And one thing that I know is that, and it's an old saying, the man who realizes, you know, that what is it? Something about like I know that I don't know a lot because of how much I've learned, you know. So slow down on what you're saying. Don't ever
Well, like I
say
said, that's just how I am. But
no, no,
there's
no, no.
really,
Angel, Angel, Angel. Right
yeah,
now, you see what's happening? You're
yeah.
not receiving. Sometimes you need to go ahead and be outward. Sometimes you need to be a sponge. Be a sponge right now. Only absorb. I don't know who has the echo, but just absorb. Don't ever say you don't want to learn nothing else no more. Don't say that. All right, Angel. Always know
Angel,
that no
thank you for
matter
coming
no
up.
matter how hold on, no matter how old you get, you can always learn something more. It's always every day you should learn something new. That is
Yeah,
what
but
will
just
make
the
you
way
like a sensei.
I understand where you're coming from, Smitty. We learn something new every day, but at the end of it, the way that I speak, the way that I talk and sound is just always is going to be who I am.
And I have tried. I digress. My mic is muted. I am done.
All right, Angel. Well, thank you for stopping by and giving your input. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to press the
is that
like
if I stay
button,
up and
subscribe,
just
and
be a part of it?
share, and drop.
Is
If
that if
it's
I stay up here?
Of course you can, since you asked like a gentleman.
Please
Yes, you
and
can,
thanks.
Angel. You can
Thank
stay
you.
up here, okay?
All
I
right.
appreciate you coming up.
All right. No
No
problem.
problem. Polo, what did you have to say? Polo, did you have something to say?
I was gonna back up what Smitty said, but I'll leave it alone.
No, say what you got to say, Lo. Say what you got to say.
So, Angel, I don't know you. I've never seen you. This is my first time hearing you speak.
Well,
It's
nice to meet you.
nice to meet you, sir. It's not a problem that everybody has. Nobody's perfect. Everybody has something, and some things are more prevalent in other people than it is others. But as a man, you can't say that you're not going to work on to be the best version of yourself. And you said that. So that's what Smitty was trying to tell you. Yeah, you know that you have other things that people don't have that are as prevalent as, but that don't mean you shouldn't work at it continuously till it be either unnoticeable or it's equal as everybody else's.
Well, one of the things I learned earlier on is back when I had my earlier problems with being long-winded, detailed, and long sentence of when I talk or speak there. I had wanted to see a speech therapist in my mid-20s, and I did for a while, but the speech therapist later on seen that there's nothing that they could do because it's something that just would be more so just letting me be who I am. They were like, I don't think we could get Angel to learn to talk more shorter. I think it's best if we just let you guys let him be who he is as he talks and speaks there, because we see it as though it is nothing that we can do, if you understand where I'm coming from. And I was at the speech therapist for quite a few months there, but when they came to the same conclusion and at the earliest time, it felt like it wasn't going to be worth my time. And my hunch was correct because my speech has always been the part of who I am.
You know what? You know what? This is so beautiful. Grace, your whole story tonight was about therapy. I want us to all take time. Now, Angel, you know I rock out with you. You know
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
I don't let nobody try to make fun of you, even though I know you got a lot of work to do. But that's okay. That's okay.
yeah.
Um, I want us to pay attention. Your
All
whole
right.
message tonight, no. Mute down, Angel.
Oh, oh,
Everything that you were saying, Grace, is about therapy. I want you to pay attention to how this man just popped up here. Everything that he was just doing just now, that was therapeutic. Okay. He didn't, that's not just, I just want to talk just to talk. Let's really pay attention to what just took place. That was a man who came up here and said, I need to have a therapeutic moment. So, again, when I say that there are people out here who seek therapy in multiple aspects and ways, it's a very real thing. And honestly, it is actually in front of our face right now via Brother Angel. I digress. My mic is muted. Rock out. I see we got some folks on the panel.
Alexis from Texas. How you doing, Ma? Can you hear me?
That's you?
Hello, can y'all hear me?
That's you? Oh, shit.
Yeah, I can hear
How
you.
are
I
you,
can hear you just
my
fine,
dear?
Alexis from Texas.
Hey, Angel, how you doing? Uh, I was trying to get an understanding as as far as what the conversation was exactly about. Is it about the importance of therapy and if it's from a man or a woman, or is it just the importance of therapy?
That was an original conversation. We deviated from
Alexis,
that.
it was
It pretty much became like the difference of
yeah. We
man therapist versus a woman therapist there. And so it went from the conversation as what Polo said to like the gender of the different therapists of who's more better as a therapist, a man or a woman.
Hmm. Okay.
we all over the place, Alexis.
I see. Uh, well, I do agree with Leanne. I heard her earlier saying that um, it depends on the person as far as therapy. I think because of the type of um work it is, it does depend on the person. Um, I say because certain type of jobs, like I heard y'all earlier going about as far as a man therapist or a woman therapist, and why I agree with Leanne as far as what she said on that it could be either or it depends on the person. Uh, because I think naturally, as far as the occupation itself and who's in the occupation, I see more uh, doctors as far as men going into other fields versus therapy. And then there's also the different breakdowns of therapy as far as because you can go to therapy and just see a therapist or a counselor, and that therapist or counselor can give you medication or things like that. So there's different ways that that business maneuvers in certain things. So I also would agree with Leanne because of how that business is. Sometimes it just depends on the person and the type of therapy that they need. If it's a me, if the because I work in the medical administration background and I send off referrals, and when I get a behavioral health referral, if they say anything on there as far as they have any trauma like sexual abuse or certain fears, then I'm gonna send it to a therapist that or a psychiatrist, depending on what that information is. If it's a female and she's had issues with male or she's been gaped, then I'm naturally not going to send her to a male therapist. I'm going to look for a female therapist. Um, and then also, when it comes to therapy,
Question?
there's, huh?
Could I ask you a question?
Yes, go ahead.
So, based on your expertise, would you say that an average person should tell somebody that they need to go to therapy?
The average person? Oh
Yeah.
no.
You
Oh, I'm
what you do for this? You're I'm assuming that you train and have more than one certificate therein, and you've been doing this work for a while. Yes.
yes.
Okay. So the average person like me, I'm in logistics. I'm a broker. I have
Hmm.
a I should not tell somebody that they need to go to therapy.
I think it's in the context. If I'm having a conversation with you and we're talking and we're going back at it, and I'm telling you, well, Paulo, you know what? Then you need to go to therapy. Yeah. Like, okay, we know you were talking out of anger or you felt some type of way. So, give it that point. But if I'm being concerned, like if you're telling me something like you've been through something and I would suggest. I've suggested to my friends before that have issues in dealing with something, and it's not on no doctor level that I'm telling them. But hey, have you thought of getting therapy? And because maybe it'll be good to have someone that's not in the situation, or someone that's not going to be biased and don't know you. So in that context, I might offer like, hey, have you thought about it? But I wouldn't be like, oh yeah, you need to go.
But even you are careful with your words. You're not telling them directly. You said, have you thought about it?
Oh yeah, definitely.
But you didn't say go see a therapist.
Nah, I don't. Yeah, unless I'm trying to be mean, and I'll be honest. When I've been trying to be mean, and that's just me being honest, I'll be like, "Oh, you need to go to the psych ward or something." But that's just me being mean. So I can be honest and say it like that. But if I'm serious and I'm caring for you as a person, I'm like, "Oh, have you thought about getting some help with that, just to because I'm a proponent for behavioral health, especially in my community, because that thing was looked down upon. And then being a Christian, some Christians think that if you go seek therapy, you're not believing in God. So I am a component for behavioral health. I do think that's good for people. Where nobody is perfect, and I don't think nobody is exempt for getting any therapy. And
What
there's
I'm
levels.
trying to figure out is this. I'm trying to figure out, where does it come in where everything is one dimensional for everybody? Why can't it be a factor of, there are some people that, who has an echo? I don't know who that is. Somebody mute, whatever. Um, why can't it be a factor of, you know what? Just like I said before, think about anything in life. If somebody has a broken leg, does that mean everybody should walk around with a crutch? Or does that mean that the person with the broken leg should have the crutch? So I'm just saying, like, should we look at everything as one dimensional? If somebody needs therapy, let them get therapy. If that is a factor, like, you know what? I'm not even really a religious person. I do believe that God is real and there is good and evil. I believe there's a comfortable place after we leave, and I believe that there's a very uncomfortable place after we leave. And on a basic level, I leave it at that, right? But who am I to really try to get on people who believe this way or believe that way? I don't get why there is such a hardcore, why you think this about therapy. Oh, you going to a shrink and this, and that. Do you complain about people who use insulin because they're diabetic? Do you complain about people who use Zoloft or whatever it is for antidepressants because they suffer from depression? I'm trying to figure this shit out. Like, why are we looking at shit like everybody's supposed to be on one page every single step of the book, instead of recognizing that each chapter, each page, each paragraph has a different story all in itself?
Okay, Smitty, let me try to get an understanding. Because you use the metaphor as far as someone having a cast on their leg or broken leg and they having a crutch, right?
Fact.
Yes, and not that everybody needs the crutch.
Nope.
No, correct. But
Correct.
we should be mindful. Like, if that person that got the crutch jumped off that thing and he broke his leg, and I'd be mindful to say, hey, to avoid that. So we all, let's try to avoid that. If I say
I
something
want
or
you to pay attention to what you just did. No. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. What kind of super extreme? See, that's what women do. I'm sorry.
no, that's not
Why
the
did
way.
you go all the way to somebody with a crutch? First of all, who the fuck would have crutches on? How many people with crutches do you know go decide to jump off a bridge?
Hold on, wait a minute, Smitty. Did you hear what you said, my guy?
You just said that
No,
shit.
no, 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 Smitty. Look,
What are
hold your
we
music.
doing?
Look, hold your mule, my guy, because you use the metaphor saying if that person had a broken leg, and do we give everybody the crutch?
And then you extended it to what if that person with a broken leg jumped off a bridge?
No, that's not. So you're not
The
listening.
fuck?
I said if that person that has the broken leg jumped off of something, and I want to be the person that's saying, hey, you know
Why
what?
even go that far?
God
How
damn.
do we get there?
How they get their leg broken in the
I
first place?
don't know how to even relate to that
No,
analogy.
but Smitty, how
You
you
don't
gonna
get
use
it.
a
No, no,
metaphor?
no. You don't get
No,
as a man. I don't
Smitty,
even know how to go that far into an extreme. I only
Smitty,
know how to think
you're
logical.
no,
You going too far out of my
Smitty,
boundaries of logic.
Smitty, my
And you want
God,
me to respond to that bullshit.
wait a
What the
minute.
fuck am I responding to?
Hold on,
Here-
time out.
Here's my
Cut
here's
the
my
shit.
here's my
Right.
question. Here's my question.
Hold on. Let me, and Angry Man, no disrespect. And I'm sorry, my name is Alexis. Nice to meet you. Smitty gave an example of a generalization talking about a broken leg and a crutch. And I'm using that same metaphor, saying
And you took it to the nigga throwing himself off a bridge.
I didn't say
What
he
the
threw
fuck?
himself off the bridge. I said if he fell,
Guys,
so we know that they fail. So me being the person that steps up and say, hey, so we don't have that problem to where we're not in a crutch. We should take steps to keep that from happening. I'm using that generalization of a broken leg to say, let's be
No,
mindful.
you used that extremity. You used an extreme. No. That wasn't a generalization. That was a fucking extreme. You went outside of my boundaries of being
Oh my
able to continue the
Oh
discussion. You
Smitty,
don't get
you're
it.
being emotional. You're being emotional. You're being emotional.
Now we throw the insults. Here
No,
come the
that's
insults.
not an insult.
Rock
That's not
out
an
with the
insult.
insults.
That's
I'm
not an
ready for the
insult.
insults. Then we're
That's
going
not
to
an
go to
insult.
little dick energy. Then we're going to go ahead and go to mommy issues. Let's
That's
go
not.
ahead and start off
That's
with the
that's not.
insults. Rock the
No,
fuck out with your
no.
bad
Can
ass.
I say
Oh
something
my
can
goodness.
we
next,
all just
please?
get
Look,
along?
they're talking about extreme. I'm saying he's being emotional by saying that I'm going to the extreme when I'm not. Matter of fact, how about we don't say he jumped off the bridge? How about he tripped over something that was in the road?
You brought the
So,
fucking bridge
so,
into the situation.
nah,
Can I?
You
Can I?
Guys,
brought the fucking
can we just
bridge
let it
into the
go?
situation.
if you want to
Can
stay
What
we
are
on
let
we
it go?
talking
Just
about?
if you want to stay on the
Can I
bridge,
say
that's why I
something,
said
please?
because I said we can change it and we can say that you tripped over the boulder over there. So hey, let's be mindful, everybody, that when we're walking, we're watching what we're doing so we don't end up with a broken leg. That was my point as far as
Most
generalization.
people with a fucking broken leg don't think that, wow, I'm on crutches. I should jump off this bridge. The fuck are you
Um,
talking about?
What
can I
planet are
say
we on right
something?
now?
If you didn't hear what I just said, then again, like I said, that's where
Alexis,
I
I
get your
actually understand fully of what you're coming from, because you're talking about this stuff from an individual standpoint, from not just therapy to incidents where, like, let's say if I was to get in a hit and run and break some part of my body, like either my shoulder or a part of my leg, I would have to wear some type of casting or crutches to heal myself. And you were talking about therapy from an individual standpoint to heal themselves of what is needed. And besides the way that I talk, I'm also an autistic, ADHD, bipolar, mood, seizure disordered individual. In case if anyone knows what is wrong with me. But it would be like me telling Angry Man he needs to go to therapy because of his outbursts that he has towards people, including me a few weeks ago, where he tried to silence me on one
Okay,
of his streams. And then I'm bringing that
embrace
up because you
embrace
tried
the
to silence
grace.
me.
Embrace
You
the
tried
grace.
to silence
yes,
Embrace
me,
the
Angry
grace.
Man.
Embrace the grace. I
I
wasn't gonna
was
say
just want to
yes,
anything.
I'm
talk the
here.
things
I
out with
wasn't
you
gonna say
and try to
anything.
resolve
Angel,
things
I
that
wasn't gonna
relax.
say
happened over
anything.
6 years
I
ago.
wasn't
But
gonna say
you
anything.
silenced me.
I
You
wasn't
kicked
gonna
me
say
off of the
anything.
panel.
Angel,
You
But check this out. Check
muted
this
me
out.
Mute.
numerous
Check this
times.
out.
And
Check
then it
this
would be
out.
like
Angel,
Check
me
this out.
saying, you need to
Check
go
this
to
out.
therapy
Check this out.
because of your
Check this
anger.
out. Check this out. Check this
Thank you.
out.
Thank you.
I wasn't gonna say anything as long as he came up here and just participated in the conversation. But this is a guy who came and was part of my Discord years ago. I'm talking all the way back to 2017. There was a show where we were having a discussion. He jumped on the discussion because there were a bunch of people critiquing me and he wanted to get his shit off. Right after he got his shit off, he apologized to me for his behavior in my Discord server. And then the very next day, he jumped on a panel with somebody that was talking shit about me so he could talk shit about me again. And I know he came up here to do this shit again. I didn't want to say nothing. I just left it alone. I said, I'm going to see if he just going to have a regular conversation or if he going to try to go in on me. And as you saw, he used an example, a situation to try to transition that shit into something about me. Ridiculous. Stop stalking me, dude. Like, for real.
Look, I thought he was going to me. I thought he was trying to correlate, saying I was. But hey, look. At the end of the day, my point was this is my point, that there's certain things that we can generalize. We can say, hey, you know what? If I see somebody that has a broken foot and they tell me, oh yeah, Alexis, because I was out there on the dirt bike doing this and that and the third, and if there's something that he could have avoided to be safe on the dirt bike, then we would naturally be like, oh, well, in the future, I'm not going to do that because I don't want that to happen to me. So we can be those type of people that say, like, hey, you know what? It's not just to be, hey, if that's for you, maybe you should try it. But if it's not, then it's not. I mean, I don't think you have to be nice to say, hey, maybe, maybe working out at the gym ain't for you. Maybe you need to go get a nutritionist. Maybe you need to try this. Like, I don't know what the hell Smitty was on, but hey, it is what it is.
So, guys, I'm almost done.
With no insight, nothing like that.
Going to therapy allows you to practice new skills. So let's get through this and do our final thoughts, because we are just all over the place. Going to therapy helps you develop new skills by journaling, learning how to have effective communication, learning how to work out your problems. You find your strength. You assess challenges more openly. You find your weaknesses and try to master them. You take small steps towards what you want to avoid. You are taught to recognize and take accountability for your bullshit. We rectify and move the fuck on. And we stop leaving our toxic, dramatic, traumatic ways on innocent people. It's not fair. That saying, hurt people, it's true. We work on being more mindful. We learn how to internalize how we feel. You would learn to acknowledge your feelings and practice self-compassion. These are the things that therapy can do for you and what you can walk away from. Therapy can never be a bad thing unless you hook up with a bad therapist. That's why you have to vet one. Just like you vet a partner and you vet a baby daddy or a new puppy that you're going to buy or a new car, you vet your therapist. From my experience, and naturally, since all my life, I've always clicked better with men than with women. And when I went to the male, and you know why I went to a male therapist? Because my ex-husband at the time said, no, you need to find a male therapist because I feel like I get ambushed when I go to a women therapist. So I did the research and found an African Black male therapist 45 minutes out the way that we had to go 3 times a week to oblige his request. And at the end of the day, it worked. It did work out better. It didn't work out with him and the therapist, but it worked out with me and the therapist. There was no hope for him. But at the end of the day, if we need therapists, if we have loved ones that need therapy, I think it's okay to let them know. It's okay to let them know. So with that being said, we're going to go into our final thoughts. I want you guys to say your final thoughts on what you think about the importance of therapy, whatever else you want to get off your chest. But y'all got 3 minutes because we can't. We just went off the hinge with this one tonight. And Angry Man, I want to give you a shout out because I really appreciate you coming out. You
No
could have
doubt.
been doing anything else tonight. You even made me fire up my cigar. I forgot that I moved and I'm in my own place now, and I could do whatever the fuck I want. So I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go get my cigar. I'm with Angry Man. So while you guys are doing your final thoughts, I'm gonna fire it up one more time. Smitty, go ahead, get it, rock on. Go ahead.
I mean, hey, catch me here every Thursday at Grace, JVJ Network every Fridays. You can catch me at Smitty's Corner. Just type in Smitty's Corner on YouTube. You can see what your boy rock out with. Other than that, yeah, IG, type in County King. County with a K, no spaces. I digress. My mic is muted. Grace, I thank you always for pulling me up and letting me know what to do. And I appreciate you.
Absolutely, Smitty. Thank you for coming. I appreciate all of it. The cursing, all of it. We've already talked about how you are, and we've squashed that, and it's still a work in progress. But that doesn't mean I'm gonna phase you out, because to me, I feel like you are valuable to the panel. We just got to work on some things, like we all do. Okay. So Alexis from Texas, I know you
Absolutely.
came in
And
late, but you've been
it's a lot of shit that we working on, and we don't give a fuck about what they say. But thank you, Grace. All right now.
Alexa from Texas, you've been rocking with me for a long time, on and off. But I appreciate you coming through in the late at the fourth quarter, 2-minute warning. But you still showed up. What are your final thoughts, and what you just forget Smitty and what you have to say?
Hey, look. Us folks out here in Texas, we don't care. We don't care. We got thick skin. And I'm gonna say what I need to say. So, and and I show up like Patrick Mahomes in the last quarter. That's all I do. Just know that we're going to the Super Bowl.
Fuck
Yeah.
Kansas City.
Don't matter. It don't matter. At least our team got a name. But anyway, yeah, it was fun being over here. I just wanted to jump
My
in.
Jets are playing tonight.
Girl, I know you didn't say that out
Y'all
loud.
fucking around. The Jets are playing tonight.
They think they got Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I'm a Jets fan.
Okay. Oh,
I'm a Jets fan.
But for real, I like
exactly.
I'm in and out over here, like you said, and I just mainly wanted to jump in because I heard about the therapy, and my final thought I want to leave out with is if you feel like you need therapy, seek therapy. And when I pointed out the different types of therapy, like I said, because I've also heard people say that they don't want to go because they automatically think of therapy like the crazy house, and they're going to give them drugs and they're going to be all out of it and things like that. Don't think of therapy all the way like that. There's different levels. They got new ways of therapy now that's helping people in different situations. So my final thoughts and on here to anybody that's listening, if you feel like you need it, please go out and get it. Don't let nobody deter you from making yourself healthy mentally, physically, but mentally as well. So that's all I got to say.
My name is Smitty. I approve this message, as well as the natural hair that's sitting on top of her head. Y'all rock out.
Leanne, all I can say is that even though we may get into it, I appreciate you because you bring to the table exactly what I'm really trying to prove. But I appreciate you, and there's no love lost, because at the end of the day, it's a conversation. It's ideas and thoughts being exchanged. It can get a little hot in here, but at the end of the day, I'm gonna still fuck with you. So give me your final thoughts and what you have to say. Are you there?
I think she left.
Was she's still up here. Okay, we'll move it to Blue. Blue, are you there, or did you go to bed?
I'm still here.
Okay, final thoughts. You saw tonight. Yes, I went over my 2 hours. I'm not gonna cut it short. My AM is on here. So if we're going for if he stay here on 6 hours, I'm here for 6 hours. I don't give a fuck. But but good. I know are you going live tonight, 8 AM? Or are you done for the night?
I might do a late night. I'm not sure. I might.
Yeah, I know you gonna do a late night. So go ahead, Polo. Go ahead and rock out. And what's your final thoughts on this?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I told you before, I didn't come to talk about therapy. I have a different stance, and
I know.
my stance was to, like, okay, I listened to what you said. We were using therapy, but we weren't talking about the same thing at all. Because you kept saying relationships. I'm not talking about relationships. I'm talking about random people telling people that are not licensed that they need to go get therapy. In the South, that's insulting. In the South, you don't do that. And if you're saying somebody that you're a relationship and or family member, I get that. I have no problem with that. But just in general, no, we don't say that in the South. And Alexis can vouch for that. She's from Texas. You don't do that. So I guess that was my point, and that's why I wasn't going to be a participant. I hopped on after I saw the lady who's no longer here. I came on just for her. I came on for the shits and giggles, and I was trying to back you and Smitty up just because she was being disingenuous. She's not being honest, and it got under my skin that y'all were letting her get under your skin, and she wasn't cammed up. You don't like that shit either. So if you're gonna talk some bullshit, I want to see your face when you lie to me. I want to see your fucking face. So that's how I am. Appreciate y'all. She come up again. I'm gonna
Wait, did you just curse? Hold
yes,
on a
he
second.
did. And it was powerful.
Did you just curse?
Yeah, and it was powerful too.
When she come up again, I need hey Smitty. She come up again, I need a text or a call. I'm coming out the woodwork for her ass. I'm gonna get her together.
See that? See that right there? I felt that right here. I felt it.
All right, Angry Man. I appreciate you coming through. We still got 2 shows to do. I got 2 topics with you that I can only do with you. So whenever you're ready, I look and you think I'm bullshitting. I wrote notes from that show that you did, but I think only you remember the 10 rules that you wrote the show about, the 10 things that a woman don't do to keep a man. You said about lack of empathy, self-centered. I can do that show, but I need you. I need I need my audience to hear it from the horse's mouth. I wrote my notes down, and I can easily do it, but it's not going to sound the same if it doesn't come from you, because this is shit that women need to hear, and they need to hear it from men. And what I tried to tell men is, you're only going to learn about men from a man. You cannot learn about men from women and your single girlfriends, because that's why they fucking single too. So whenever you're ready, boss, whenever you're ready. But go ahead and give me your final thoughts on what you saw tonight, what we talked about, everything. Just give me your final thoughts, sir. And everybody knows where we can find you.
Yeah. As far as the topic, I think everybody in the Western world needs therapy, in my personal opinion, because we have so many things that create so much dysfunction mentally. You know what I'm saying? I think that a lot of us need, in fact, I think it should be mandatory that anybody that gets married or has children should have therapy first. That's just my personal opinion. But that's all I wanted to say. I appreciate y'all for having me on, and I'm gonna get up out of here.
Thank you, Angry Man. I appreciate you. The one on mandatory DNA testing and that show about the 10 rules that you said about women. Those are the 2 topics I would love to collab with you, okay?
Okay. I got you.
All right, so Leanne, I didn't know you were in the back room. I didn't know that was you, but go ahead and give me your final thoughts and whatever you have to say.
Yeah, I mean, I think therapy, everybody does need therapy in one way or another. It's only helpful. As for being disingenuous, that's a bunch of bullshit, but whatever. You know, It is what it is. Nobody's looking for solutions. They're just looking for debate. So I don't know what to tell you.
I hear you. I hear you. I just try to be informative and try to tell people where to do it, how to do it, and why to do it. It's up to them to take that information and move on with it. So, and I do appreciate everybody in the chat. Jane, I see you. Thank you very much. You've been out here typing your ass off. I would have loved if you came up, but it's all good whenever you're ready. All right. So, Gary, it's been hot tonight. It's been crazy tonight. What are your
it's been a very interesting show, but it's been a very interesting show and some interesting perspectives. But I just want to say that when it comes to therapy, you know, there's, as has been said before, there's different types of therapy. But I mean, I think that for some people, if you have someone that you trust and you value and you just need to vent, because sometimes venting to someone who really listens to you and understands you, that's therapy, and that could help. Now, if you need something more professional, then definitely seek out a therapist and take time to find a therapist that works for you. Just because someone's a therapist doesn't mean that they're the right therapist for you. So, and I think that is very important. I should say that's extremely important. You could find me Boardwalk Global Media, The Real Discussion. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. Our show comes back September 8th. The Real Discussion. Friday, September 8th, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m.
And thank you for coming, Gary. Like I said, your consistent support means a lot to me. We have a lot of conversations. This topic came out of necessity. So with my final thoughts, people, again, I am not a licensed therapist, psychologist, or counselor, but I do know from experiencing trauma myself, blaming others, but going to therapy, putting the work in and going through storms, healing, growing, and taking accountability, I've experienced and have become a better version of myself. But I am still a work in progress. Therapy gives you the opportunity to explore your thoughts, feelings, patterns, and behaviors and learn your triggers. It will help learn you coping skills, techniques to better manage your daily stressors and symptoms associated with your diagnosis. So please, I beg you to please embrace therapy for your kids' sake, your marriage sake, friendships, and especially yourself. Especially yourself. Things can happen in therapy. You'll learn how to talk instead of harboring everything inside and becoming a ticking time bomb. Therapists will have you talking about your feelings and staying out your feelings, and they create a safe place to feel. You'll learn lessons about emotions, about coping skills, facing fears, and more. And the best way to end something is to let it starve. Let that trauma starve. Don't respond to it. Don't put action into it. Don't altercate with it. Just don't feed into it. And that's where the true power lies. So with that being said, you can find me on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat. You can find me here on Thursday nights with my co-hosts Gary and Smitty on the JVJ Network. You can find me here on Fridays, Boardwalk Global Media. I mean, I'm all over the place. I'm collaborating with many other podcasters because I am on a mission. I'm on a mission to change mindsets, to help people become a better version of themselves. I appreciate all the emails, all the show ideas, all the clips y'all showing me. I know I still got a lot of work to do on my channel, but I just appreciate everybody that continues to rock with me, that continues to send donations to the channel. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you very much for tonight. Again, to all my panelists, the juicy conversation. If you need therapy, if you feel you need help, get the help you need. Because the one thing is that we've taken God out of everything we've done, and this is why we are lost in the sauce. So embrace therapy. Thank you for embracing me. Gary, have a good night. Alexis, have a good night. Leanne and everybody else. Thank you. Peace. I'm out of here.